So yeah, like I was saying right before we sat down, what we say into these microphones actually matters, and it affects people. And it's been that part of the journey for me has been something that's been pretty powerful, because like we're approaching that age. You know, I turn 44 next month, where it's like for a long time I was kind of hesitant to put my opinion out there or think that I have wisdom to share with people. It just felt kind of weird, you know? And since I started the show, I've been getting a lot of feedback from people that do draw inspiration from guys like us that are out there pushing it, getting after it, chasing physical fitness, chasing jiu-jitsu, because a lot of people in their life that for whatever reason didn't pursue those things when they were younger, it's not just a part of their life and a habit. And for us, like we talked about it last night, we've been kind of getting after it really since we were kids.
Quite a while.
You know? And so like this lifestyle for us is kind of normal. It's still hard, don't get me wrong, but we've normalized it. And there's a lot of men out there that haven't ever walked that path. And so when they hear people talking about it and they see people doing it, they draw inspiration from it. And it's kind of weird. We're reaching that age where like we do it through technology now, but there was the majority of human history sat around the campfire,
talked about it.
And some of the older warriors would be like, hey, this is how we did it. This is how we grew up. This is what we prioritized. And that was normal. And now we do it through a microphone, which is still kind of bizarre, but it's, I've gotten enough feedback over the last, this is going to be episode 224. Damn. So it's been going for a while, you know, but, if you listen to the show, you know how I like to do it. I just introduce yourself, talk about, you know, where you're from, who you are. And then we just go down some rabbit holes, which there's a lot to go down today.
I think we got a couple. Awesome. Yeah. Well, thanks again for having me. My name's Tyler Williams. I actually went to high school with you. You graduated a year ahead of me, I think is what we determined yesterday.
Yeah,
so
90,
I was
99.
Yeah, I was 2000. Arguably probably a better year, but that's fine. And I've been following your journey for a little bit, and what was so cool is just watching it grow. And we talked about this yesterday too, is the first time I ever walked into a jiu-jitsu gym was I was a white belt, right? And you walk in not really sure what you're getting into, and here's big bad Greg, brown belt, and it felt almost exactly the same yesterday, where I was like, well, Greg hasn't changed too much.
I love hearing that, bro.
Oh, it was awesome. Like I was literally like, been here before. And then seeing Mark, that was wild. He was one of the first black belts, I ever got to go with. So this journey's been exciting, but like you said, graduated from Snohomish High School, grew up in Snohomish. My mom and dad literally just sold their house from there, like not even a year ago.
That's what Jenny just told me last night, that one of her friends
Crystal,
was their agent. So yeah, small world.
And, it's, oh God, this world is beyond small. And me and my wife and family, we've been moving around a little bit. We lived in Oregon for a couple years, then came back here and raised our kids for about 12 years. And then in Snohomish, we lived over there by Glacier Peak for a lot of years. And I just felt like it was just getting a little bit too small for us. Like it was the same experience I had. And, we weren't on the Snohomish side of things, we're on the Glacier Peak side. It was a little different. Remember when we were growing up, you used to be able to find a field and go get a bonfire going and rip around by the river and camp and just be high school kids. And I didn't see that happening as much where we were. So
remember we used to go up to that place called P5000?
Yeah.
Which was like way out in the mountains. And it was a gravel road that was probably 10 miles long.
Yeah.
That would take you to the top of this mountain. And at the top of the mountain was just a big gravel parking lot. And everybody would start a fire and crack beers and hang out. Dude.
I totally forgot about that. And I remember when like Silver Firs, what would that be? The north side of 132nd. We used to 4-wheel. Down there. Like you'd take a road and go down there and get stuck. And that there was less and less of that. And I really enjoyed my childhood in Snohomish, and, I grew up on 5 acres and loved it. So we moved to Bend, Oregon a little over 2 years ago, and wanted to be just closer to the elements in a mountain town, be around the river and the mountain and skiing in the woods, and have that ability to get out and get away from society a little bit.
Is Bend, Oregon? I've heard good things about it, but I've never been there. Is it a pretty small community?
Yeah, it's big, but small. Like it has like 5 high schools and they're all 5A, but yet we go to different sporting events, or you're just out visiting a taco truck and you will guaranteed to see 3 or 4 people that you know. So it's a pretty small place.
Do you know a guy named Josh Songstead by chance?
I know.
Okay.
Yeah.
As my cousin lives in Bend.
Okay.
And they've been taught for years. I've been interested in going down there and just, how it
You
goes.
got to come down.
Okay.
Yeah. And come train with us over at Clark's University of Martial Arts. Those guys are legit jiu-jitsu down there. And they do like Filipino martial arts, Muay Thai, kickboxing, all sorts of cool stuff.
Okay. So that's not to take it down the jiu-jitsu rabbit hole yet, but your academy wears a lot of different hats then, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
I would say like 3 main hats probably, or maybe even more 2, jiu-jitsu and Muay Thai.
Got it.
Yeah.
Which in my opinion, if you want to pair 2 martial arts together,
dude, you'd be a badass.
That's the 2
for
sure.
I've been pushing my son to do the same. Like he's a pretty high level wrestler and a pretty good jiu-jitsu practitioner at almost 17. And I'm like, dude, you need to get some Muay Thai in. Just learn how to bang a little bit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, that's the thing, man. It's like jiu-jitsu. I don't do jiu-jitsu anymore because I might get in a fight and I need self-defense, right? I do jiu-jitsu because I love training. I love the people it brings. I love the community. And then I literally love how I feel after training.
Yeah.
The same can't be said for Muay Thai. Like I did a lot of Muay Thai when I was younger, and you go home and you're beat the fuck up, man.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's important for men, especially, to know how to handle themselves in a fight.
Yeah.
And striking, it's a requirement.
Mm-hmm.
So I tell my young guys here all the time, like we don't offer striking. For the main reason I don't do striking here is what I've found is it's hard to maintain the jiu-jitsu vibe.
Yeah.
When you have other classes that aren't jiu-jitsu, because it starts to attract guys that want to be fighters and MMA guys and stuff like that. And there's nothing wrong with that, but it's just slightly different culture.
Yeah.
So I tell my guys, there's a place across the street that's ran by a guy named Chris Garcia, who was a pro MMA fighter for a long time. Like it's never going to hurt you to go over there and just spend a year learning how to strike. If you box or do Muay Thai for 1 year consistently, maybe 2-3 days a week, and then never fucking put on gloves again, you'll be able to outstrike 99.9% of men.
Yeah,
For
sure. And I say the same thing with like jiu-jitsu. If you get to a jiu-jitsu blue belt, you're going to be able to handle most people walking around America.
That's why, dude, like cops, a blue belt should be a mandatory requirement 100%. For a cop.
I've been saying this for years.
And it's not digging at them or saying like, it's literally something that will not only help them, but it'll help the community as well.
For sure.
And this doesn't get talked about often enough, it will help the perpetrator too.
Mm-hmm.
Like
they're safer.
Yeah, safer. There's police officers catch a lot of flack these days because everything's recorded. And you do something to someone that either causes injury or even causes death. Not that I don't think George Floyd's death was from the neon belly, but like that was the catalyst that kind of like blew up how police officers interact with people. And it's like, dude, if you just mount them and hold them down, and if they decide to turn and give their back, like literally choking someone out,
it's saving them.
It's saving them, dude.
You didn't tase them. You didn't shoot them.
Yeah.
Like what is that? You're not allowed to do a rear naked choke, right?
No, bro. Most, at least in Washington State,
yeah, I think California
they call it the LVNR, lateral vascular neck restraint, because the government has to always put some weird acronym. Yeah. It's a fucking rear naked choke. It has been since the beginning of time.
I wrapped my arm around your neck. Yes.
But they've determined that is so dangerous that not only can you not do it by policy, but in some jurisdictions, you can be criminally charged for doing it.
Prosecutable. That's
and I literally want to take either the city council or the mayor's office, like whoever is in charge of making these policies, and be like, listen, I'm going to render you unconscious one of 2 ways. I'm going to shin kick you in the temple, or I'm going to choke you out. Which do you prefer?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's
slow and nice.
There is, and then you don't wake up with a concussion. You wake up 20 seconds later and you're completely fine. Yeah. In fact, and I'm not one of those guys that gets tapped out or gets choked out because I will tap.
Yeah.
Like I don't have
smarter, not harder.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Right.
We're too old.
But there are a few times when the choke gets locked in so fast that you don't have time to tap, and you wake up and it's like,
what happened?
You had a nice dream.
Yeah, just looking around going, oh man, didn't see that coming.
Yeah.
There's a couple cops that train in our gym, and one of them, I swear he's like John Wick. Like if I saw him on the street, it's just like, we're cool, dude. We're cool. Like I love having cops in there. That's like one of my favorite things. And then getting to train with them. additionally, like having those guys kind of on your side and on your back, you training with them, helping them help the community and themselves be safe. Like that's people helping people.
Dude, I tell cops all the time, and I honestly believe this to be true. The biggest benefit that you are going to gain from being a police officer that joins the Jiu-Jitsu Academy, it's not the capability that you bring to the job. It's you're immersing yourself in the community outside of the profession.
They see you differently.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because most cops, I was a cop for 10 years. I know how it works. Most cops hang out with cops. Your circles become cops. Your wife's friends become the wives of other cops. And I'm not necessarily saying that's a bad thing, but you start to live in an echo chamber. And when you're barbecuing, and when you're watching the UFC, and it's always cops, cops, cops.
Yeah.
And you know what cops talk about when they're together? Cop shit. So before you know it, 24/7, your life is law enforcement. And then you go sign up at a jiu-jitsu academy and you're hanging out with fucking welders and electricians and teachers and fucking doctors of entomology like Mark. You know what I mean? It's like you got this big, diverse group of people. And I think it's healthy to step away from the profession because, bro, all cops do when they're together is bitch about command staff. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, you don't get that energy on the mats, you know? And so
it gives them a break, right? I think you talked about it earlier, but jiu-jitsu for me isn't about winning and choking people in competition. And it's helped obviously my confidence and feel like I could hang with 90% of the free world.
99.9.
Okay. Appreciate that.
Because we got around last night. You're an absolute fucking motherfucker, dude.
I appreciate that. But you know, or I don't know where I was going with that, but I lost it. Sorry. You complimented me. I didn't know what to do.
You're saying that you don't do jujitsu to be a competitor, or to be able to beat people.
I do jujitsu because it's one of the only times during the day that I can truly like take a mental break. I don't really think about jujitsu. It's just that it's just happening, right?
Yes.
Like, and maybe I'd be better at jujitsu if I could do that, but
no, bro,
that's another story.
No, that's where you're supposed to be.
But I just check out, and it's literally like a mental reprieve, right? You're just like, hey, this is my happy, safe place. Yeah, you might be getting choked or getting, smothered by you like last night, but I was happy as a pig in shit, right? Like, and that's why I do it, right? And then you talked about community. Community is so important with this. Like Saturdays and Sundays are some of my favorite days in the gym, those open mats, because half the time you're just sitting kind of BSing in between rounds. And I call it jiu-jitsu church on Sunday. Yeah. Because we go and it's usually a lighter crowd, typically a little bit older. And those are some of my favorite like connection moments and conversations and things build from it. And we'll get a roll, we'll have some fun, we'll have a lot of laughs. Yeah. And at the end of the day, we pound fists and we're like, dude, it was great to see you.
Well, fuck, bro. People, listeners might be getting sick of this because I fucking talk about it constantly. But when you go through something like a hard round with another human being, it forces an understanding between each other. Yeah. And I don't mean that understanding of who's better, who's tougher, who won, who lost. Like, sure, that's all part of it, but that's not where we're deriving the value from. You understand each other's energy. You get to know each other on an intimate level, and it happens almost instantly. Mm-hmm. And I feel like human beings throughout history have had those experiences that force them to come together as a tribe. You take any indigenous culture, they literally have to bond together to hunt, to forage, to fight off a rival fucking tribe coming over the ridgeline. Like what they do requires them to bond as human beings. And I think that's what's lost in our society. I think that's why we're seeing fucking school shootings and kids, little boys that suddenly think they're little girls, because we're living in this confused state because you don't understand where you fit in the tribe.
Yeah. Who are you?
Who are you?
Yeah.
And the thing is, not everybody has to be the village warrior or the chief or it's corporate America has kind of built this mentality where we're all clawing each other's eyes out trying to get to the top. Whereas like what I think a healthy society kind of what ends up happening is people fall into their role and they embrace it. And it's not better or worse. I have no doubt if we were fucking Native Americans 500 years ago, you and I would have been the warriors. Yeah. That doesn't mean we would have come back after warfare and looked at the guys that were maybe tending fucking animals or whatever it may be and be like, oh, those guys are bitches, right? That's not how the society worked. Everybody played a role.
You have a part.
And it was equally important because if any cog in that wheel falls apart, our society falls apart. Mm-hmm. And when you employ an important role in your community, that gives you a sense of purpose, a sense of value. Other people look at you with that value, and we don't have that anymore, man. And also, I don't know if it's feasible because our society, our tribe is what, 350 million people. It's just too big. And it's like you said, I had to fucking go to Oregon to try and feel smaller.
Yeah.
Because when you feel smaller, you feel more connected.
Yeah.
And bro, I'm to the point now where I almost want to fucking just like move out into the mountains with a handful of people.
Well, I'm trying to get my wife to that same point someday. I'm sure it'll happen when the kids are older, but I'm in. Like, create a compound and you just like, everybody is a contributing member to your society and community. I think that is definitely lost. Like, nobody wants to work hard anymore. Kids just want, like, handed it to them, or like, why am I not at the top? Why am I not the CEO? And I literally just started yesterday, you know, that kind of shit drives me nuts.
Bro, they're graduating college going $85,000 in debt and then expecting to have some like 6-figure income. And the reality is you don't know fucking shit, bro.
No,
you
don't.
And that's not me being derogatory. You have to prove your value.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think we've definitely lost that. You have to earn your stripes, right? Just like the belt, right? And that only happens by I'm going to use a jiu-jitsu metaphor, weird. Getting on the mat, right? And like, literally, hard work works, and get in there, do the things, be uncomfortable, and learn from it. Like, if you have, you know how egos go, especially in jiu-jitsu, and then even in like the corporate world, like, egos and banners and logos just like stifle progress.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to grow if you have that ego and you're just like, no, that ain't going to work.
And see, in most aspects of society, people can kind of fake all that shit, you know?
Especially with social media.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. They can project who they are. They can just kind of key in on some talking points. You can have some boss that read one of Jocko's books and just stands up there and regurgitates some stuff, right?
Like, you haven't lived this.
But yeah, jiu-jitsu forces you to live it, because once you're on the mats with the team, everybody knows what you're about.
Yeah, they don't lie.
And once everybody knows what you're about, now we can all just fucking be comfortable with each other.
Yeah.
It's so cool, man.
It is. We could go way down the jiu-jitsu.
Bro, I love it, man. Like,
it's life, man. And I even offered to buy my daughter a car when she turned 16 if she would train more and then wrestle.
Yeah.
And she's like, negative, Dad. There's no fucking way that's happening. But it's just doing hard things. I think we've gotten too comfortable in life, most of us. I love being uncomfortable. I was listening to one of your other podcasts where you were talking about the shower scenario, right? It was like that morning when you make that choice, like, this is going to suck, but I'm going to turn it fucking cold.
Yes, dude.
And you know, the first time you do that, it's like, holy shit, what am I doing? You try to talk yourself out of it. You're like, nah, it's good. All right, I'm late. Screw that. Don't be a bitch. Turn it to cold. Do it for however long you need to, and then build on that. Just practice being uncomfortable is something I want, you know, my kids to do. I preach it. I show them, right? By doing it, like, hey, dad himself is going to do it. My wife is a freaking badass like that. And we just need to get more uncomfortable as a society so that we can actually grow.
Well, and I say it all the time on the show, your kids aren't going to do what you say. They're going to do what they see.
Yeah. Don't tell them what you are or who they need to be. Like, literally show them.
Yeah. And bro, that shower, an important thing to remember is, like, on one hand, it gets easier because you've exposed yourself to it hundreds of times. And now there's certainly less fear attached to it, but there's still the voice in your head that's like, fuck, dude. Do I have to do it today? Yes.
Yes.
You do.
Just because you doubted it, you were 100% doing it. Yeah.
And bro, that's also another reason I put the sauna and the cold plunge in here. And I run my sauna at 230, right? You go to most fitness clubs and they're like 170. And I tell my team, it's like, you can go listen to Huberman or Dr. Rhonda Patrick, and they can tell you all the whys and hows and do's and don'ts of contrast therapy, cold, hot, all that shit. That's not me. My facility is about fucking mental toughness. So get in that sauna and commit to 20 minutes and fucking feel what that journey feels like. And it's fucking rough.
And practice managing your mindset, right?
Yeah.
And like, you know, if it's box breathing, if it's counting, if it's whatever, go to that place and find it.
Yeah.
I think you can grow so much just in those little moments. You know, you get trying to like calm yourself quickly. Okay. Yeah. You know, it's gonna be fucking cold. And then all of a sudden you're like, all right, I'm good.
Yes.
I'm good. This ain't gonna kill me. I'm gonna just get stronger. I'm gonna feel awesome when I get out.
Well, and it's funny because you keyed in on a lot yesterday that made me proud. I'll tell you that because you told me like the way that I speak to the kids, the way that people enter the facility is like the things that you said kind of, they filled me with pride because it made me feel like, oh, like other people can come in and see the value here. Right.
I'll say what I told you yesterday. Cause I was telling my wife last night about it. Like sitting on the mats, getting ready to warm up and even doing a little workout before. I was literally just kind of watching and observing because I get to travel a lot and I go to a lot of different gyms. So I see a lot of different people, a lot of different operations. First thing I did is I walked in here, I saw how fucking clean it was. And I was like, holy shit, this is what I'm talking about. I took a little video, sent it to my professors down south. And I was like, this is a fucking first class operation. Like we should all strive to have something like this clean. When I say clean, like it was, literally clean, but also just how it's designed, right? And everything had its place. It had its purpose. And you look around the corner, you see the cold tub, you see the sauna. And I was like, this is fucking rad. A little place just to get after it for a minute, get your body moving. It was perfect. I've been traveling all week, so I got to get on the bike, just get stuff moving. Still didn't help me with you, but, and then I was watching you talk to the kids, which first of all, there was like 40 kids or something on the mat last night.
Yeah, we have between 40 and 50 kids on Monday, Wednesdays.
And something I saw you do, you didn't talk down to them in a way to like kind of baby them is what it seemed. You talked to them like humans, like, hey, I'm going to talk to you like I would talk to a grown up because you're going to be one someday. You were also giving them value in just who they were and what they were doing constantly with calling them savages. Like they don't even probably realize what's happening, but you giving them that confidence and you being you, they see that. I watched them watch you yesterday, that gray belt you were talking about.
Oh, bro,
he was looking back.
Anytime, like he is always
he's looking,
seeing if I'm seeing.
Yeah. And then he was seeing you talk to me. And then I watched him look at me a few times like, am I doing good? And I was like, fuck yeah, you are.
Hell yeah. Dude.
Hell yeah, you are. And where I'm going with this is that I think it's important. We need to talk to our kids like they're going to be grown up someday, right? Dumb it down and make sure they can understand it, but reinforce those values you want to see. Like you are all savages because you're in here, not on a Wednesday night, probably going to go home, do your homework, go home, do dinner. But like, that's super important. That doesn't happen very often. And I would trust my kids in your program, just like he's going to raise a fucking badass.
Dude, I love hearing that. I appreciate you saying that, man.
You can feel it.
Well, dude, and one thing about the cleanliness, and obviously cleanliness in a martial arts academy is one of my top priorities because as soon as the wheels fall off, people start getting sick and getting infections and staph and ringworm, folliculitis. Like the wheels can fall off fast. Mm-hmm. And bro, I have to clean this place for probably an hour and a half a day.
Yeah.
Like as soon as you leave, I'm going to do another deep clean. And it's funny because I've had people say, they're like, bro, you're at a point in your career like the gym is making enough money where you're actually losing money by cleaning all the time. Hour and a half
doing something different
can be better served and you should outsource that. But I take a lot of pride in doing that. And bro, and when I talk about other academies, I never talk to them or I never say their name in a derogatory manner because everybody gets to do what they do, right? But I've been part of academies where people are like, white belts clean the mats, right? And it's like, whoa. What you just did is you took one of the most important aspects of the facility and you made it almost a derogatory thing to be a part of. Mm-hmm. Did you see my cleaning crew last night? I never asked one person to help me out. What I do as soon as the final bell kicks off and we bow out is I start cleaning the facility. And I don't give it the deep clean, but I have to clean it enough so when morning class happens, Thursday morning's the only morning of the week we don't have morning class. And so normally there's morning class going on from 8 to 10. When those people walk in, this facility has to look and appear clean, and it also has to be safe. So it's important to prioritize that. And you see exactly what happens. I had 4 or 5 guys
at least,
and sometimes I have to like almost fight people for vacuums.
So to add on to that, I saw that didn't go unnoticed on me yesterday. Yeah, we were bullshitting after class, and I saw people start, taking the initiative, which that was super cool. They're just doing it. You didn't have to tell them, or like nobody else had to remind them. Yeah, it's the white belts or whatever it is. And then after we were done talking, I think you were even like, "Hey, dude, I gotta finish cleaning." And I was like, "Cool." And you put on the backpack and started touching vacuum tips, which got a little weird, but but nonetheless, you're like leading by example, and I think that's super important. And you watch what it does to your culture, which you can see. The other thing I was telling you last night is waiting on the mats, watching the adults start to come in, is I was like, oh shit, there's some savages coming in here. I can tell by their body type and how they held themselves, where their chin was up. I was like, these guys are confident, and you could tell that most of them were either in really good shape or on their way to being in shape.
Yes.
Which that's fucking powerful. Like if you're inspiring others and then others within your community are inspiring them the same way, dude, conquer the world. Like it was obvious last night.
Well, dude, I try and promote a culture that is, a lot of jiu-jitsu is kind of getting watered down where it's like, hey, win or learn, or keep it playful. And it's like, I'm still kind of torn. I don't know exactly where I land on all this because it's always kind of shifting, right? But if what we do to make ourselves stronger as human beings is always in the realm of keeping it playful and having fun, I think you're missing out on something. Mm-hmm. So I encourage my team as like, something that this actually came from a neighboring academy, Cascade, because they share a similar culture, right? Yeah. And one of their guys is like, one of our mottos is light vibes, but heavy rolls.
Yeah.
So it's like, hey, we're here to have fun. We're here to support each other. We're here to laugh and have a good time. But when the bell goes off, man, let's try and beat each other. Mm-hmm. Let's try and beat each other, because that's really what hones that blade. And I think it's important for people to understand that, like, hey, there's a lot of reasons that we invest in jiu-jitsu. There's a million. There's fitness, there's capability, there's camaraderie, there's tribe. But at the end of the day, if you don't find that uncomfortable place, mm-hmm. you're missing out on a lot of what jiu-jitsu has to offer. And I learned that firsthand in California. Bro, mm-hmm. I was nervous to go to practice every fucking day in California. Like there was butterflies in my stomach because it's like, who's going to fucking rape me today? And it's like, but I kept going back because when you walk into the academy, you have butterflies in your stomach. When you walk out of the academy, you feel like a fucking champion, bro.
Because you are.
Because you are.
You are. And I love the quote you just said, I never lose, I either win or I learn. But your point is important because you still have to challenge yourself. Don't give yourself that way out.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah, I lost, but I learned something. Fuck that. Okay, how hard did you try? I think it's limited, right? And then you can get stuck in that role of, that didn't go very well, or like next time, whatever, or just having fun. And yeah, I like having fun roles, but you need to be challenging yourself. And I was telling you last night, I competed at Worlds this year, which was a big mental game for me. Like I've been a brown belt for a really long time, and I knew that I was at a precipice of like my skill, my fitness, and just the community that was surrounding me. I was like, it's kind of now or who knows when, right? Like I felt like it had been leading up to it. And I started at Clark's, we moved to Bend. I tried this other one. It didn't really work out. And I kept going up to Clark's, like just getting mopped. But I really liked the guys. And I was like, their jiu-jitsu is deep. It's on point. It's relevant. And I was getting better each time I went. So finally I said, fuck it. I'm just going to go all in. Now. And then, joining a new gym as a brown belt is a little intimidating. And
I've been there, bro. And it is for sure.
So like to your point, I knew I was jumping both feet into the deep end. And then also I took that as the challenge where I was like, I want to be one of those guys. And I would say they favor competition. And I was like, okay, I'd helped several of the high level black belts get ready for a competition. And then finally I was like, fuck it.
Yeah.
It's happening. And then I'll be totally honest. Like at one point I was like, no, I'm not doing it. My wife's like, what are you talking about? Shut up. And she got like pretty pissed at me. And what I later had to do was communicate like, no, I was actually scared to fail. And I was scared to put in the work that I knew needed to happen so that I could come out there and be happy with my performance. So fast forward 3 months, with a lot of work. The hardest roles I had were in the gym. It wasn't at World.
Yeah.
Right. And it was fucking tough. And you had to look back, and there was a few times where I was like, what am I doing? And why am I doing this? And one of my professors, Aaron Teagues, big shout out to that guy. He just graduated with his master's in sports psychology. And he fucking used to Miyagi the shit out of me. And he's young. He's like 20 something. And he's an old soul. Where I'd be like, dude, man, I'm struggling here. And he would just be like, what's your why? And it's just super simple. And he's like, remember, this is where the hard work happens. And who you're rolling with, we're really fucking good.
Yeah.
He doesn't really cuss very much, but I do.
Yeah.
And it made sense. I was like, okay, back to work. Right. And you take that little mental break and you're like, quit feeling sorry for yourself, and you get back on the mats and you get uncomfortable, do something different. And whew.
Well, and bro, another reason why putting in the work is important pre-competition, obviously to get in shape and to hone your skills, right? But more importantly than that is when you go out there, if you knew you gave it your all and you prepared properly, now the chips are going to fall where they may.
Yeah.
And you don't have to go home and look at yourself in the mirror with disappointment.
No.
Because if you did the right thing leading into competition and you got beat, that simply means that man is better at jiu-jitsu than you.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a sad story. That's motivation to get better. But I tell my students that too. It's like not win or learn, right? Because win or learn, it gives people outs.
Yes.
And like my professor, Joao Assis, who's fucking during his reign was one of the best guys in the world. He's like, if you're not signing up for the competition with the intentions of taking gold, please don't sign up.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's
not to see what happens.
Yeah. We're not going to sign up and see what happens. We're going to go out there and we're going to be champions.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's it. Now, if you don't become a champion, you do learn. So the saying holds true.
Yeah.
Win or learn is true. But going into it, like, don't put yourself out there unless you have convinced yourself that I am good enough to go out here and win.
Yeah.
The other thing that does is it forces you to take training serious and put in the work pre-competition.
The discipline it takes. Like I spent, it's probably more than 3 months, but like it was a legit 3-month camp where it was fucking hard. And we were rolling, 5 days a week. And then I'm doing high intensity training the other days. And like my body, I'll be 43 this year. I do feel like I'm in the best shape I've ever been. However, it was really fucking hard to get there.
Mm-hmm.
And getting there was like, damn, this was fun. You know what else it did is my son, he made it to state last year in wrestling as a sophomore. And I felt a little bit out of the water on how to help him. I'd never been on a stage that big.
Oh, I see.
And I took that as like
leading from the fucking front.
I was like, dad needs to up his game. And, New Worlds was coming up. And you know what I saw though, is I watched my son watch me, and he'll be 17. And this year he just got the pre-rankings came out. He's ranked number 8 coming in. Like, so he's pretty fired up. And he was like, Dad, I'm going to fucking win state this year. And I was like, yes, you are.
Damn right you are.
Yes, you are. And but I wanted to get to a point to where when he is at state this year, I know what to say to him. Yeah. When it gets hard and those weight cuts, during regionals and those other times, I know how to comfort him. Because I literally just went through it, and I was like, "Hey, I know what I need, and what I don't need, a hard stick right now. I need like comfort. Like, hey, you're almost there, right? I needed, love and comfort and appreciation, and like a good meal if you could, right? And it was a mind shift. And then when my son after Worlds, he was like, "Dude, I'm gonna win state this year," and I was like, "That was all I needed," right? It made it worth it.
Dude, I love that, man.
Yeah.
And like, because I say these things to my athletes very often, but coming from dad, that's even exponentially more powerful, And another aspect of that dovetails right into what you're saying is that I tell my athletes, it's like, hey, if you know you did everything right, then there's nothing to worry about because someone has better jiu-jitsu. Mm-hmm. Right?
Or better sport.
Yeah. Better. Yeah.
Sport jiu-jitsu. Yeah.
So one of the two guys, you don't even know who he is yet. You might see his name on a bracket, right? You know nothing about that guy, or maybe you do because you've competed against him before. But regardless, he's some guy that's doing his thing, and I'm my guy doing my thing. And one of us is going to have better jiu-jitsu on fucking October 2nd or whatever it is, right? Yep. And whoever has better jiu-jitsu, whoever put in more work and honed their blade sharper and shows up better, that's who's going to win. Mm-hmm. So again, it's not a sad story. Like And that's why I tell my athletes when it comes time to slap and bump and walk out on the mat, it comes down to who has better jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
So instead of being all freaked out about it and like, oh, fuck, I'm going to do this and then I'm going to do that and trying to overthink it and over game plan it, bro, go out there and put your jiu-jitsu on the line.
Yeah.
That's it.
If you've done what you need to do to prepare, and I knew that I had done every single thing I could have in the time leading up to Worlds to be as competitive as I wanted to be. And we'll get into like the difference between sport jiu-jitsu and like mat, just like gym jiu-jitsu was what probably made me not be a world champion. Like I legit thought I was going to win a world championship. Like it was in my head. And something I learned, like I've competed quite a bit in the past, I've competed a few times at every belt along the way, which I think you should do.
Of course.
Just put it to a test. At the minimum, go to some gyms at every belt and play with the other belts.
Yeah, hit some
have
open
fun.
mats.
Because everyone's jiu-jitsu is different. Like your guys' yesterday was really heavy, right? And there's other ones that they want to get under your legs. There's other ones they want to stand up the whole time, or they just want to sit down and butt scoot. You don't know.
How was not to throw you off track, but how was your role with my purple belt, Zach?
Zach was good.
Guy with the tattoo on it. Yeah. He just got his purple belt, and he's a handful. He's a fucking tough. I was gonna say kid, but he's a fucking man. He's 35.
Yeah,
he's fucking tough though, man.
Mm-hmm.
And so I wanted to watch that, but you know how it is when everything's happening and you're rolling too. I wanted to see.
No,
I want him to get tested, and I knew that you would fucking push him to where he needed to be pushed.
Yeah, we were playing a little bit, and I think when you come to a gym, it's a little different too.
Of course,
sometimes.
it's first date
I'm
rules.
gonna be like, hey, I don't want to be a dick, or whatever. But there was a couple times where I was like, he's tight, and I forget what he had. He had something kind of strange on me to where I was like, if I move this way, I had him in butterfly, and I had kind of what you did to me, that sweep. I had his left arm and his lapel, and he kept kind of sitting back. So after the roll, I go, hey, in the future, you need to get heavier on my butterfly hooks and really try to get my knees back together. I go, because I was worried you were going to knee pummel me and come right around. If you would have, you had me.
Yeah.
And he did it like 3 times, and he was like, really? So I showed him. And I was like, try it this next time. I was like, because his shoulders were in the right position. He wasn't too far forward. It was just a little heavier on my feet to get my knees down and get my knees together. And I know he could have just knee pummeled and been right into my side control, or in side control on me. And so after I told him, he was like, oh shit. Well, I didn't want to, he was methodical in like why he hadn't been, which I thought was good, but I was okay. Everything else was in perfect position. Like you weren't over your, too far over your shoulders, all this. And he was like, I'm going to give that a shot. So I bet you coming next week, right? Mm-hmm. He's going to have a little different game. It was super fun. We went into the wall one time, and I literally laughed at one point, cause I was like, this guy must be an MMA guy. Cause most people, you hit the wall and they're like, oh, let's redo it. And he like just put me into the wall. I was like, oh, fine, we're going. I go, it's all good.
It's funny you say that, because one thing I tell my team all the time, I say, hey, the world has walls.
Oh yeah.
And you can't be afraid of them.
So important.
So there's a reason I put mats on them.
Mm-hmm.
If we weren't going to incorporate walls into training, we wouldn't have fucking mats on them, right? Yeah. And then also there's a huge component of fighting against a wall that changes, because you can use that to create counter pressure or disallow people's hips to shrimp away, all those things. And you see it in the UFC all the time. And do you remember Stefan Grunkmeyer?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so me and Stefan are still homies. It's funny, I have a fucking Stefan story from this morning. But I got him into jiu-jitsu, and now he's a black belt, right?
Yeah, he was so tough.
Dude, he's a fucking tough son of a bitch. But I remember we were working standing head and arm chokes upstairs one time when he was training. And man, you can get a head and arm choke. And typically in jiu-jitsu, you do it, you can either set it up for mount or side control, but then you have to kick off to create that angle to choke them out, right? And I was showing the guys, hey, you can actually create this angle against walls too. So you can stay on your feet and still hit a technically correct head and arm choke. And he called me like a day or two later, and he's like, dude, this drunk dude at a party like took a swing at me, and I ducked under and caught the head and arm. And he goes, and my truck was right behind him. So he's like, dude, we had just worked that. So I drove him into the truck to create that counter pressure and choked him out. And I was like, see, bro, that's fucking jiu-jitsu, man.
That's beautiful.
The world has walls or trucks, right?
Right. Does he still have those arms, like just huge arms?
Dude, he's such a
fucking python arms.
Dude, here's the funny thing too, is like, because we've been friends since we were little kids, man. And I hit my growth spurt. I grew into like man size, I would say like sophomore or junior, you know? Stefan was fucking tiny until we graduated.
I remember you could kind of bully him.
Yeah. And I fucking went into the military and came back, and he's like 215, 5%
Huge.
body fat.
Yeah.
Just fucking jacked.
Yes.
And if it was anyone else, I'd be like, that dude did some fucking gnarly cycles of roids, which I'm not against. Put whatever you fucking want in your body. I don't care.
Your body.
But it's because he fucking opened his rock yard and was just carrying fucking pieces of granite and stone and like installing walkways and shit. And I've said it a lot, man. You can't, I don't care how much you CrossFit or how much you work out in the gym, you cannot catch up to the guys whose day in and day out profession is working with their hands. You got guys that are like granite masons. My brown belt, I was kind of hoping you guys would get around Tyler Stanaway.
Yeah.
He's a tough son of a bitch, and he's a forger. So he's swinging a forging hammer 10 hours a fucking day.
So when he grabs you, you're not getting out.
You want to hear a funny story is, there's an athlete, his name's Evan Olson, and he just placed in the Olympics. He got bronze in rowing crew.
Oh, no way.
So that's the level of athlete he is, and he trained with us for years, right? And I mean, he's literally an Olympic medalist. And he asked Tyler, he's like, dude, can you teach me how to forge a knife? That's just something that's always been interesting to me. He goes, yeah, come on, show up at my house tomorrow morning, and we'll fucking get the shit heating up and get the fucking anvil out, and we'll forge you a knife. And he's like 30 minutes into hammering the knife, he's like, bro, I can't even feel my fucking arms anymore. He goes, I can't keep doing this. Mm-hmm. And he's like, I thought you were like one of the best athletes in the world, but it's like also
not swinging a hammer.
You can only, you fitness is very exercise specific or activity specific. So that's not talking trash on Evan, because you put Tyler in a boat and he'll row him to death, right? But it lets you know, it's like, dude, those guys that are fucking in the trades working with their hands, or another guy, one of the toughest human beings that I've ever felt. Because when you lock horns with someone,
I tell my son this all the time. You're gonna know what kind of fish you got as soon as you get that collar tie or collar grip. Like, dude, it's my favorite. I want to know
who the fuck are you?
Yeah, what's up?
And dude, I lock horns with this guy, day one white belt, doesn't know fuck all about fighting, and it's like, what do you do? Yeah, what is this, bro? He was an arborist.
Okay.
Cuts fucking trees down all the time. Chainsaws, climbs trees, and fucking tops them and does limbs them, all that shit. And that's the only arborist I know. And when he put his fucking hands on you, you knew what was up, dude. And so, yeah, there's no way to get that other than being that person.
By utilizing those hands, right?
Yeah.
I was in San Jose a few months ago and training at Carretera's gym down there. And he matched me up with another brown belt, and we start getting after it. And all of a sudden he stops and he goes, "What do you do?" And I was like, "What are you talking about?" And he's like, "What do you do for work?" And I told him what I do, and he was like, "No, that's not it. Like, what did you do then?" And I was like, "Well, I was a carpenter for like 20 plus years, right? I've been swinging a hammer." He goes, "That makes sense."
Yeah, there we go.
He goes, "I knew as soon as you grabbed a hold of me, I was like, oh shit." And I was, well, thank you, right? But I was like, yeah, that's right. But to your point, right? Just using your hands, and I put a couple of notes while I was having coffee this morning about like learning a trade and being capable. I think is super important, and something that we're missing is like, nobody wants to get their hands dirty. They want to fucking call Angie's List or Angie's Now or whatever it is, and have somebody else do that. Brought my dad down a couple weeks ago, and we changed out the transmission in my son's 95 Ford F-150 because we could, right? And it was like, I've never done this. I called Dad and I was like, "What do you think?" He's like, "We got that." Showing my son again, like, "Hey, we can do this. We don't have to pay somebody to do shit every time. We save $2,200 or something like that." And yeah, we had to spend 12 hours doing it, and it freaking sucked, and not something I want to do day to day, but you're capable.
You're capable.
Yeah. And that is something I want more people to be, is like capable of whatever that is. Right. And I hope it's not just a keyboard or, your Instagram page or whatever it is like actually learn a trade and be useful.
Yes.
Because at the end of the day, if I get fired, from the work I do, then I can go build shit. Like, I can still be a carpenter, right? I know a lot about a little. So you can be a contributing member of society versus just being like, now what do I do? Well, you're going to die, you know?
That's something I talk about with cops all the time, because a lot of cops are very disgruntled in the profession and they want to do something else. Mm-hmm. But I hear the reoccurring theme every time it comes up, like, I don't know anything else. I can't do anything else. And it's like, well, that's just becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? But to your point, dude, the trades, like my boy, he's not biologically mine, but I've been like his a mentor figure in his life since he was 10 years old. He is in his apprenticeship for plumbing.
Right on.
And bro, he's 2 or 3 years in now. He's on the downhill slope. And he already told me, he's like, bro, I can go out and get as much side work as I want at $90 an hour plus.
Wait till he's a journeyman.
Yes, dude. And it's like, oh, fuck, man. Like, we as a society convinced all of our kids to go into debt, getting a further education. And here's the thing, man. Like, if you want to get an education on something that's specifically going to take your life in a certain direction, you want to be a fucking marine biologist, like, I get it, right? But that's not what the majority of society is doing. The majority of society is just, I'm just going to continue education, except now I'm going in debt. And then it doesn't serve them financially or professionally.
Like, honestly, how many people do you think are working in the capacity in which they had studied in?
Yeah, I don't know what those numbers are, but I bet it's very fucking low. I mean, dude, my wife is a perfect example of that. She got a degree, an art degree from the University of Washington. And when we got together, I think she was $70,000 into student loans. And guess who got to pay for those? We did, as a fucking married couple. And it took us years and years and years. We literally didn't get those paid off until I think like 2019, 2020.
Yeah.
And it's like, and here's the thing, dude, if she was working in a capacity where that was generating revenue, then I could be like, okay, this makes sense, right? Mm-hmm. Like, you had to take these steps. You had to go into debt a certain amount to chase a career that brought you joy or fulfillment. That's all good if that's part of your plan. But if it's not, what are we really doing?
Yeah, I think part of it is like setting those kids up, you know, coming out of high school. Like, if they don't know, let them not know. Don't force them or try to influence them to only go the college route to figure it out. That's a really fucking expensive thing to try to figure out. And it's probably not going to be what it ultimately ends up being.
Or you could encourage them to go become an electrician or a plumber. Like, and here's the thing. Just like if you go to school for 4 years to get an art degree that you never use, you could also go learn electrical work for 4 years. And that doesn't mean you have to do that.
You get paid to learn it.
But you get paid to learn it. It's a reverse. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You're learning a skill set. You have something in your back pocket now that you can fall back on if you ever need to. Like, say you want to become a cop. Like, okay, I learned this stuff, but I need something different. I need some more excitement or whatever it may be. Now you have a skill set in your back pocket that you can fall back on. And, dude, I've talked to fucking half the team is electricians, but they're all our age.
Yeah.
The young guys aren't electricians. It's all the dudes in their 40s, right? And they're telling me, they're like, bro, and when our generation retires,
we're screwed.
We're fucked, man, because people don't want to work with their hands anymore. But guess what? They want their lights to turn on. They want their poop to flush, you know, like.
No, honestly, like, it has for the rest of the free world to function, you need tradespeople, like, just period, right? There's maintenance. The building's got to run a certain way. Somebody's got to build this shit. And we're in a position to where most of these folks are going to retire out, and we're going to have this huge knowledge gap. So what I've been trying to do, so I work for a very large general contractor where they do like $12 billion a year. And I'm in a fortunate position to kind of steer the industry in certain ways. So I lead field innovation for this company, and I'm going to not say who it is just so I can say whatever the fuck I want. With that, I see this happening all over the country, right? You see they're paying like electricians. These guys are making like $250,000 a year.
Yes, dude.
And it took them not even 4 years. Right, that's after 4 years, right? But in the interim, you're making north of 85 your first 2 years.
Yeah, and when you're 19, that's comfortable living.
You should still be living at home. Yeah. Like, dude, be smart about it and watch what happens. And you're trying to influence my kids to do the same thing. Like, you don't have to know right now, but be capable, learn something, be contributing. I met, his name's Christian last night. He's a blue belt. He came in and he had
he's 19.
Yeah. And he said he's got a wife and kid.
Yeah. Dude.
So
he got started early.
He's a little baby, but
so his father-in-law, cool Christian story.
Yeah.
His father-in-law is one of my brown belt coaches.
Okay.
And he told him, he's like, hey, you want to be part of this family? You want to be with my daughter? This family trains jiu-jitsu. And he goes, I'll cover your membership. I can't ask you to do something and then make you go pay for it. He goes, I'm happy to cover your membership, but if you're going to be with my daughter, you train jiu-jitsu. And that was 2 years ago. He's still here, man.
I'm stealing that from my daughter.
Hell yeah, dude.
For sure. I love that a lot. But I saw him come in and he had I don't remember the name of the contractor, shirt on. So I just asked him because I figured we would get into this a little bit today. And one of the things I'm trying to do in the position I'm in is influence the youth to like join the industry of construction, right? You can pick your pathway, but like, let's make construction cool because it is fucking cool. You get to literally build something with your hands. You can stand back at it. Hopefully it stands the test of time. And like, just coming up here, I saw some stuff that I had built years ago and I was like, that's pretty fucking cool.
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah.
There's something that's, and dude, I am not like on anywhere close to your guys' level when it comes to being able to create, right? But fuck, dude, I took wood shop in school and welding and all that stuff. And to this day, like a perfect example is I cut a hole under my stairs in my house to see what the opening looked like under there.
Yeah.
And then opened it all up and framed in a dog kennel and fucking put like shiplap sides and a nice hardwood floor and a door that opens and closes. And I look at that with pride. And it might not be that cool of a thing, but for me, well, my dogs think it's cool because their kennel's like the fucking Taj Mahal, right? But just being able to say, hey, you know what I'm going to do today? I'm going to build something. And when you're done with it and you look back on it, there's a certain amount of pride that you feel. You don't feel that pride by doing some fucking project for like some online fucking data collection or something. It doesn't give you that same feeling. Mm-hmm. Where do you think, I feel like it was shortly after our generation where like it was almost derogatory. Oh, he's a plumber.
Yeah.
He's going to be a plumber. Like it's almost like there's a cultural shift to where we started looking at the people that chose that profession as like, I have a 4-year degree from university of blah, blah, blah. And he just plumbs pipes that shit flushes down. And it's like, it almost feels like it was intentional. Like, let's get all these kids.
Well, I think it was.
Let's make them incapable. Let's make them in debt. And then they become fucking slaves to the system, man. You know? And it's like, dude, to your point of once there's not a surplus of people that harbor these capabilities, guess what's going to happen? Well, I'll tell you what's going to happen. One of my buddies just bought a fucking sauna last week. And he wants to put it in his backyard, and it needs 18 feet of cable for 220. Mm-hmm. And I think he said 40 or 50 amps. So it's like thick cable. And he had a fucking company come out. Guess what the fucking quote was?
To do 18 feet?
Yes. But he goes, but it has to run up the garage wall into the, like through the attic and then back down and then back out the back wall of the house.
Probably over $8,000.
It was 5,400.
Okay.
5,400. And I talked, so then again, one of my black belts is an electrician, right? And I was like, listen, I know nobody wants side work anymore, but is this something, like, what do you think of this? And he goes, bro, I could literally do it for half of that.
Yeah, barbecue me some food.
And still make a good chunk of money for a fucking 6-hour job.
Yeah.
Right? And then you start to think, dude, how in the fuck can you take a project that is a 6-hour project and charge $5,500 fucking dollars for it? Well, that's why, because it's supply and demand.
Right.
And if you don't know someone that knows how to do it, or you don't know how to do it yourself, you're fucked. Mm-hmm. So all you people out there that are fucking poo-pooing on plumbers and electricians, like, it's going to come to bite you in your ass.
Watch what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. Watch when they're like, oh yeah, I remember you. You did that fucking dick. Actually, your toilet's on the back burner. Like, I'll get there when I get there.
Yeah. And then the other thing is like, whatever niche you start to fall into or pursue intentionally, that allows you to have a lot of autonomy in what you want to do. Like Zach was focusing on new construction plumbing for a long time, right? So he's like, dude, I'm not out like replacing shitty fucking toilets and unclog. Like people hear plumber and they think
you're like literally plunging somebody's toilet.
that's what, yeah. And he goes, dude, I do new construction fucking.
There's no shit
plumbing.
in that toilet.
And he goes,
yet.
it's clean, it's dry, I'm inside. Like it's warm usually, or at a minimum, I'm not out in the elements. It's like, dude, it's nice. And then he decided to change it up and learn another aspect of plumbing. He moved to Ellensburg and now he's doing outdoor farming irrigation plumbing. And he's like, the weather out here is nice.
Yeah.
So it's very different from working outdoors on the west side. And now he's learning a whole other side of the industry. Same thing with electricians. Like you can choose where am I best suited to work in the trade? What is most interesting to me? And then pursue that. And if you don't want to be out fucking digging ditches in the rain, there's still a lot of opportunities for you. Or if you want to just fucking get after it and be a framer, like go be a framer, right?
Well, and I think also too, like I look at parts of construction as a gateway into something different. Like, so I started, my dad had a construction company. So I started working when I was, super young. 15 is when I really started kind of helping with like actually being able to swing a hammer and doing some stuff. And the value that I learned with that was huge. And I do think that there was a shift maybe around 2005 where we started, I think that there was an intention. They wanted the youth to be more dependent on the system. And that's where we started breaking things, where we didn't want people to go this way. There is so many people that I work with in my industry that have these high, PhDs or these accolades from these, Stanford universities and all that stuff. But yet they'll look and want to know what my experience was, where they'll communicate this direction we should go. And I was like, that won't fucking work. They're like, why? I was like, because have you ever built that? That's not how it works. Come out to the field, like literally put your boots on.
Yeah, because everything in their brains is in theory.
It's theory. It's theoretical, right? Versus actual practical is totally different. Like taking a drawing, building blueprint drawing, and then making it an actual thing is something that's not easily done, right? You have to translate that into a real world application.
Yeah.
And I think experience is definitely, we're losing it, right? And I think it's really valuable at the same time. So there is opportunities, I think, for us 40-year-old people to really start to leverage our experience from the trades to help influence these younger folks. And like, I'm on this tear of like, let's make construction cool, like our industry cool. Like there are some cool shit coming in, and I work in mostly the innovation space. So I'm literally I was at Hilti North America in Texas before I came here, and they were asking my opinion on like, hey, should we go this direction on this battery stuff, right? And or what do you think about this? And you're like, that's junk, right? But that experience is worth a lot to a lot of these companies. And I don't know if you're ready, or should we go down the robot rabbit hole?
Go down the robot rabbit hole. The one thing I want to say about the construction trades, where it's not just opportunity for you as an individual to learn a skill set, but as a business opportunity too.
Huge.
And Zach he's 21 years old, and he's literally thinking 4, 5, 10 years in the future. He's like, dude, once I get my apprenticeship, I could then start my own company, and then I could have, it would take this much to put a down payment on this many vans, and like I could have a crew of this many people. Like the wheels are already turning.
Yeah.
You don't need a fucking degree in business to fucking learn how to run a business. What you need to do is go out there and immerse yourself in the fucking business.
Yeah.
Like he might be an installer right now, so he's not brokering deals and paying people's checks and shit, but he understands the industry. And now he is already thinking long-term. He's like, dude, I'm not just going to fucking turn wrenches for someone else. I'm going to use this opportunity, and we're going to have people turning wrenches for me one day. And that's not,
I like that.
There's not just like we said on the mats, just because I'm the boss and you're the employee, there's not a better than or worse than. It's just the natural progression as you build more experience. he's looking long term. Like, I want to be where my boss is sitting
Mhm.
in 5 years or 10 years.
And
And
don't,
then there'll be young Zach's coming up working for him.
yeah, that's the idea, right? And also, like, I want to say, like, be confident in that experience that you've gained, because I spent a year and a half in trade school and just like made it official that I had an associate's degree in building construction. That's the level of my education, right? And now I'm a corporate leader at a $12 billion a year company based on my experience.
Yes.
So, Zach, call me, right? If you want
Yeah,
to talk,
fuck yeah.
right? But to that point, like, being a corporate leader at a company that large, I'm surrounded by people that have tons of degrees from fucking MIT,
PhDs and shit. Well, dude, did you hear what Mark said last night?
Oh, when you talked about the difference, like,
He goes, I know lots of people with PhDs that are fucking dumbasses or whatever he said, you know?
Mhm.
And it's like, a title doesn't really mean shit. And I
No.
think people are starting to see that, you know?
It comes back to that thing too. Like, don't tell me who you are. Like, show me.
Of course,
Like,
dude.
show me.
Like, bro,
That drives me fucking nuts. So I know what you aren't, because you just told me.
fuck, man. My dog got hit by a car when I was a kid. And we scooped her up and drove to the vet. And the veterinarian comes out and introduces himself to my dad and goes, "Hey, I'm Dr. So-and-so." And my dad shook his hand and goes, "Yeah, I understand you're a doctor. We just showed
Drove
up
here.
here with a fucking injured dog, but what's your name?" And he goes, "Dr. So-and-so," like surprised, right?
Mhm.
Instead of saying, "Dude, my name's John," right? And my dad reaches out, shakes his hand, and goes, "Okay, then I'm transmission specialist Anderson." And I was like, because my dad was out of control, bro, right? Like, I tell people all the time, he was me times 10. And then I remember we got back in the car, we're driving home, and he's like, "Bro, listen, I don't give a fuck if you become a lawyer or a doctor or a plumber." He goes, "I don't give a fuck. Just be a man first and treat people like you're a man first."
Yeah.
And it's like, I didn't know how much wisdom my dad had at that time, because I'm just a little boy taking it in, you know? But I look back on those experiences and I'm like, yeah, that's right, dude. And so, like, my whole time as a police officer, if I would conduct a traffic stop, I never came up and said, I'm Officer Anderson or Deputy Anderson, because I held both those titles with two different agencies. That's what the agency calls me. When I'm talking to you as a human being, my name's Greg. And so I would always say that to people. "Hey, my name is Greg. I work for blah, blah, blah." And enter the conversation as a human being.
Mm-hmm.
Because at the end of the day,
You're on the same level.
this is a job I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not more important than you. It's not a big dick measuring contest. It's like, and here's the other thing. These people aren't criminals. They had a fucking burned out taillight. Like, fuck, man. Why would you ever talk? Because, dude, I got stopped by a cop in Lake Stevens. This was a long time ago. I wish I could fucking figure out who this dude was and go, he's like, "License, registrations, proof of insurance." Like, immediately talking to me like I'm a chump. And it's like, bro, we both know I'd get out of this car and kill you if I wanted to. Right? So why
why are you starting it like
it
this?
shouldn't even have to become that, right?
Mm-mm.
And I handed him what I thought, this was before I was a cop, right? So I thought that this would be easier for him. And I keep my registration and my insurance in a little envelope together. And I handed him the envelope. And he goes, "I'm not digging through all your stuff to find the documents that I requested." And I was just like, fuck, man. Like, if any other man talked to me like that for no reason, we're beating the fuck out of each other.
We talked about this last night, is I think so many people are afraid. They're not afraid of getting punched in the face.
100%.
Right.
Dude.
And his badge makes it so that you can't punch him in the face without repercussions.
Of course. Then I
Right.
have to die
And
because then the SWAT team's coming.
Yeah,
and
then
then
this
fuck.
drives me nuts. And I walk around with my head pretty high because I know if shit happens, I can handle myself.
Bro, if people look at you and they know, I don't want to fight that dude.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah,
My wife talks about it all the time. She was like, "You don't see how people like look at you." And sometimes I'll bitch about my ears hurting or whatever. And then I told her the other day, I was like, I'm like, no joke, I'm bitching that my ear hurts really bad. Right before Worlds, it fucking swelled up so big.
But I'm happy I have
But
it.
I was like, I love it so much. I was like, it makes me, I love this pain. And because, you see my face, it's pretty scarred like yours. Like
Yeah.
we bumped heads last night. And I got a little thing. I
Dude,
woke up this morning.
You started bleeding, I think out of the top of your head during our round.
That doesn't surprise me.
And I don't even acknowledge that. I don't give a fuck that you're bleeding. I'm trying to choke you out.
Yeah.
If you have a problem with your body,
that's your problem. Like, I know my blood's clean. Like, I've had that same conversation where somebody's like, dude, you're bleeding. Okay.
Yeah. I don't give a fuck, dude.
Yeah. Are you good?
Yeah.
Are you good? I'm not going to bleed in your, I mean, maybe I'll bleed in your mouth, but I'm clean. Like, whatever.
Don't
like,
care about that either.
You'll be fine.
Getting the sweep is more important than worrying about what's in your blood.
Yeah. 100%. I love that. But to that point, like, my son being 17 he's a little wild and he's freaking tough. And I raised him to be that way on
Welcome
purpose.
to being a 17-year-old boy. That's how it's supposed to be.
And I often reflect on like, was I like this when I was 17? And 99% of the time it's yes. Yes, you were. You just didn't get caught.
Yeah.
Right. Or, social media helps me sometimes. And sometimes I'm like, I don't want to fucking know this.
Well, bro, when we were 7, I tell people all the time, if I conducted, me and fucking Sheely used to go out and get drunk and get in fights constantly.
Yeah.
And run into the supermarket and grab a case of beer and run out to his fucking Land Cruiser and speed away.
I feel like we might have done that together.
Okay, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Doing a bunch of dumb shit, right? And if today's world was what we were facing back then, with cameras on every street corner, everybody had fucking phones taking pictures and taking videos. Everybody had phones that could call things in real time. Be like, I just saw them drive away and it's a silver Land Cruiser. Like, I'd probably still be in jail. Mm-hmm. Like, we never did anything fucking egregious, but it was just an absolute compounding effect of dumb decisions. Mm-hmm. And it's like, that's why I can't be too fucking hard on kids going out making dumb decisions.
Right. So where I was going with that too is like, so he gets in fights every once in a while. And I'm like, we'll break it down. Like, well, why? Why did you need to fight this kid? And when we first moved, there was quite a bit of it. And it was just
he got to establish himself, bro.
And, he, to both my kids is, it was hard, right?
Yeah.
We moved my son right before he's going into freshman year. My daughter's going into 7th grade. Like, we asked them to do something hard. And I did that on purpose. Like, I know what we're asking you to do. And this is going to grow you in a way.
Yeah.
And, some people can say what they want. I'd do it again. There's some things that we would look at a little bit differently. However, my son is fucking badass. My daughter knows how to, get into a school and make a bunch of friends and like be somebody that she wants to be. Right.
So she did it with intellect and he did it with his fist.
So different approaches.
Yeah.
Right. And, my son's a scrapper. And every once in a while I'll be like, what happened? And we'll talk about it. And I'll be like, I can't argue that. I can't argue that. He was in your space. You fucking knock his ass out. And so like where I was going, like people are afraid to get punched in the face. And I've told him that, like, you don't get punched first. You know what's going to happen. You do it.
100%, bro.
And take him down. And
whoever came up with that rule, like, hey, put yourself at an immediate disadvantage for a physical altercation. I don't fucking think so,
I
bro.
think even when he was younger, I might have even said like, hey, we don't punch first, and now I'm at the total opposite opinion.
When combat is imminent, fucking
be first.
strike, dude.
Be first.
Yeah. That's a fucking Sawyer rule slogan. Mm-hmm.
Right? Yeah, be first. And I know you have how many daughters now?
3. Yep.
And so mine just turned 15.
Okay, my oldest is also 15.
Okay, so we're in it. You know.
Yeah. But I'll tell you this: my oldest is a badass.
Yeah.
She's done jiu-jitsu for 10 years, off and on. Like, she just told me a couple months ago, I don't like jiu-jitsu anymore. It's like, fuck, here we go again, right? But I also know she's a badass. Mm-hmm. But she's also her mother, which means she's very intellectual. She's very intentional. She processes things. She makes smart decisions, and she's super fucking responsible. And I'm not saying that because, it's my kid. My kids are responsible, right? No, my younger 2 are fucking me. So I already like going through becoming, she's getting her license. She just did driver's ed, and she has a boyfriend, and I give her a lot of autonomy because she's proven to me that she makes reasonable decisions.
Yeah. My
next 2 are going to be my wild animals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Having daughters is wild. Like if I had a house full of boys, they would all be probably just banging Muay Thai in the garage and who knows what. And mom would love it. And I have to parent, obviously different.
Of course.
Both kids. And I would
whoever thinks it's not different doesn't have fucking
doesn't
sons
have kids.
and daughters. Because like I said, I raised the boys to a certain extent, right? But I got a lot of feedback on the activities that they partake in and how you speak to them and how you motivate them. And bro, it's two different fucking species.
Having a daughter that I would say my daughter's a badass, right? She has done jujitsu. She has wrestled. She hates it, but it was still I made her compete when she was super little, right? With just her birthday the other day, I was going through the camera and I was like, oh, that's right. You did this, and doing hard things. She's also her mother's daughter and how intelligent she is, like yours.
Yeah.
Where I watch them handle people interaction situations differently than both my son and I would, right?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden they'll jujitsu the shit out of them in their mind, right?
Yeah.
And befriend them and all of a sudden connect with them in a way and build a rapport that it would take me fucking a year to do, right? And they're just all of a sudden, these people are mushing their hand and you're like, okay, we're so different, but yet there's still blood. And like, what can I learn from you, little one?
Yeah, that's right, bro.
Yeah.
Do you ever watch Game of Thrones?
Yeah.
So that's why I always tell Jenny she's fucking Cersei. I know who the fuck you are.
Yeah.
Right? Like you're playing fucking 3D chess and I'm up here playing checkers, but I'm the fucking hammer.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the enforcer. And I'm like, you need me in your corner, right? And it's a fucking symbiotic relationship, bro.
One of my favorite like Instagram things is that lion head where it's, the lioness is capable of going out and doing all those things. And then you see the fucking, the alpha lion behind her because they know what's behind them.
That's right, dude.
Same with my daughter. It's like, I will fucking murder somebody for you. You just point me in the right direction.
Right fucking now.
There's a kid and I won't name his name, but I'm looking for him and he knows it. My son's already dealt with him once. And I've told every one of their friends, like when he's 18, I will fucking find you.
Yeah.
I will find you.
You get fucked up on.
Yeah.
Hey,
and we're going to have a different
now.
conversation. 100%. I will find you.
Bro,
right?
And that's how it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand how society is like shifted to where we now protect people that are doing shitty things. Dude,
where did that come from?
Like, dude, do you remember Amber Gregory?
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Fucking love Amber. Dude.
Yeah.
I haven't talked to her in a long time.
That's a name from the past.
This is a true story. Her boyfriend, and we were either juniors or seniors, and they got in a fight. And he's like, fine, take your fucking keys and go home, and threw them at her, right? And he was a cool guy, but he made a bad decision. But one of the keys fucking cut her under her eye. It hit her in the face and it cut her eye.
Mm-hmm.
She goes home and her dad looks. He goes, come here. Looked at her face. Didn't even say anything. Hey, what happened to you? What's the story? Didn't even say anything. Got in his truck, drove to her boyfriend's house. Knocked on the door, opened the door, wham!
Oh, I love
Knocked him out.
You know why.
And drove home. And that's you know why. Guess what, dude? Well, that fucking kid came too. He's like, yeah, dude, I fucking deserve that. And
that's how universal law should work.
Yes, dude.
I wish that happened more now.
It needs to, because we're now humanity is falling out of alignment. And humanity's fallen so far out of alignment that we got pencil neck fucking pussies like Gavin Newsom, who signed a bill yesterday that says, we're going to prosecute you if you put false information up online that's generated with AI. And it's like, bro, I'll fucking twist your little neck off. Fuck you. I'll put whatever the fuck I want online.
It's like, hey, Gavin, have you been to San Francisco or any of those towns lately that are literally falling apart?
There's literally the Walking Dead, dude.
We have an office there. And it is my least favorite place to go to because I feel like zombies are real and they fucking live in San Francisco.
Yeah.
They were pretty bad and they're in Austin. They're in these big metropolitan cities that are becoming more woke. You like watch what fucking happened.
And bro, like, you want to get me fucking fired up, dude? Let's go.
I think I did.
No, because here's the thing that these motherfuckers, and they have all these people, all these fucking like liberals eating out of their hand, believing their propaganda, saying like, oh, well, we're not going to prosecute because it's a drug addiction and they don't have control over it and it's a disease and we're not going to prosecute them for their crimes. Man, it's like, oh, you're acting like this is coming from a place of compassion, motherfucker. These people are in a living hell.
Yeah.
They are literally, their life is hell on earth. They're sick, they're diseased, they're freezing, they're starving. And you want to act like perpetuating that is something that's rooted in compassion? fuck you, man.
Mhm.
That's how you know it's a lie.
Well-
These people are fucking starved for some type of help. And bro, you want to talk about fucking helping people? We're not doing anything to help people.
No, let's look how they got there.
Yes.
Right? There's some trauma. They were fed some opiates to solve something
Well,
that was a mask and fucking bullshit, and they knew it was gonna addict
Bro,
them.
let me tell you this, because as a police officer in Seattle, 95% of my arrests were rooted in addiction. You got methamphetamine and heroin addicts that are breaking windows and stealing fucking cars to perpetuate their drug habit.
Mhm.
Because once they're addicted to these things, their brain no longer weighs reason. It just says, I need this.
Yeah,
And
at all costs.
At all costs.
100%.
And dude, I've had plenty of them in the back of my car. And there's a range of addicts. There's people that just got addicted and then that can talk to you just how we're talking right now, which is weird.
Yeah, functioning addicts.
Bro, you arrest someone and you have a conversation like we're having right now. And I've told them, I've like, dude, you don't feel like a drug addict. What's really going on with you?
Mm-hmm.
And this one girl, I'll never forget her story. She's like, hey, dude, I'm married to an engineer who works for Boeing. We have 3 kids. Like, I had a great life. She goes, but I hurt my back and the hospital fucking put me on these fucking pain meds. And when my prescription ran out, I went fucking haywire.
Mhm.
I can't survive without these drugs. And she's like, and it got to a point where now I turned to the street to find opioids, and my husband threw me out of the house. He's like, you're not having that shit around our kids. Can you imagine? That could be your fucking wife. That could be my wife, dude.
Mhm.
And she's like, so like now I'm on the streets and the only thing that I'm in search of is drugs because I can't not have them. Explaining it to me exactly how you or I would explain it to each other.
Mhm.
And then you know what she said next? Like her brain is working completely normal on one hand.
Knowing the problem, right? She's articulated what the problem was
Yes.
to her. And then
The next thing she goes, if you'll let me go, officer, I'll fuck you or suck your dick right now. And I was like,
what?
whoa.
That took
Like-
a turn.
Like, yeah, dude, that's what this woman is willing to do to herself just to get those drugs. And she seemed like a nice young lady that has fucking reached a point where she feels like she doesn't have any options.
Yeah.
And that's half of the fucking addicts walking around, dude.
Mhm.
And then on the far end of the spectrum, you literally have people that have been on methamphetamine for so long that it's rotted their capacity to have any logical thought process. Those are the zombies you're talking about. Literally, dude, like drooling. They got sores that are bleeding and they're all, and it's like,
Yeah,
hey, bro, you can't be here. I'm literally criminally trespassing you and you have to leave. And it's like,
It's not there. They're not
nobody's
there.
home, man. And it's like, you can't fucking come to me and tell me that we need to give $300 billion or whatever it is to Ukraine when we got fucking people rotting into zombies in our own fucking cities, dude.
Yeah. And I don't think affordable housing is the answer either.
No, bro.
Like, we
it's
need that-
forced treatment.
Right?
It's forced treatment. It's not sending these people to jail for a crime. It's literally, we have to fucking legislate laws. It's like, hey, if you're homeless and addicted to drugs on public property, now we have the authority to take you into treatment and force you to get healthy. There has to be fucking options.
And let's talk about like the elephant in the room. They attempted to force us to get vaccinated for what reason? But yet we're
Exactly
unwilling
right.
to
Yeah.
force these people to get healthy in a way for something that they caused.
We can't force medical procedures
How the fuck
on
does that
those people, but you and I have to do what the fuck they say. Even though we're competent, contributing members of society,
that are healthy.
fuck you, dude.
Yeah.
To the death. You know?
That's some bullshit.
And bro, when to the death day comes, you're dealing with people like us.
Yeah, have fun.
Have fucking fun
Yeah,
with that.
I
dude.
laugh at that part. Like when it happens, you'll know.
You'll fucking know.
Yeah.
And you'll wish
You'll
you
know
didn't-
why we train.
And you'll wish you didn't know.
I have this tattoo on my side that says "I train because if it happens," and it used to say "There will be blood, it won't be mine." And then when my kids were young, it was a little crazy, like being at the pool. So like I blacked part of that out, but I still like think about it, like because it's true. Like
It's
I
true.
train because.
And not only do I have the capacity to do it, like, and this, I talk about it all the time on the show. This isn't fucking bravado. This isn't beating my chest, dude. I have the mentality to do it because I've watched other men die by my fucking hands and it didn't bother me.
Mm-hmm.
That was in the other side of the world for a bullshit war that I shouldn't have even been part of. Now you bring the war to me where my fucking children, my children's future's on the line. I'll cut your fucking head off with a chainsaw and go make a sandwich.
Mm-hmm.
Like I won't fucking care. Because here's the deal. The reason I won't care is because you motherfuckers push me here.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I want to do? I want to teach 10-year-olds jujitsu, make enough money to live comfortably, and enjoy my fucking life with my family and my friends. But they're intentionally stripping us of that ability, and they're going to back us into a corner. And then here's the ironic thing. Once we're backed into the corner, the men that they fucking forced to become motherfuckers are going to be their demise.
Mm-hmm.
All the Rangers and the fucking SEALs and the Force Recon Marines and the Delta Force operators, all these dudes that you fucking sent to kill people for a decade. I'm here to tell you, because that's my circle. I know all those people. They're the most disgruntled right now. And those are the people that you're fucking backing into a corner, dude.
And I'm smiling, right? Because that wasn't my circle, but hang around with enough of you guys to know that I want to be a part of when it happens. You want to be around.
Well, bro, let me tell you
kinda
this
guys.
too. Just because I got that experience in warfare doesn't mean we're not cut from the same cloth.
Yeah.
I have lots of friends that hold your energy that are similar to you, that are in the trades, are commercial fishermen, are electricians. All the guys that are motherfuckers are sick of your shit. Dude.
Yeah. We have the similar values,
Yes,
right?
dude.
To where my values are going to align with yours. And yeah, I haven't gone overseas and shot people, but I'll fucking shoot somebody.
Well, bro, and the thing is, like, what do they think is going to happen when that day comes, dude? Like, what do they think everyone's just going to bend a knee? Here's the deal. I don't give a fuck if you come and kill me. Like, I shouldn't say I don't give a fuck, right? I have a family. I like my life.
Yeah.
I don't want to give this up, but I will gladly give it up today before I'll bend a knee to your fucking bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
And when that's your enemy, like, did you stupid motherfuckers not learn anything with Vietnam, with Afghanistan, with Iraq? Like,
Clearly not.
when people have an ideology that they hold dear to their heart, you can't defeat them.
Mm-mm.
You can kill their physical body, but their culture as a people cannot be defeated because you can't defeat an ideology with bullets. So Greg and Tyler might get fucking killed, but your fucking son
Oh yeah.
is
I'd be
ready
worried.
for it.
I'd be worried.
You know what I'm saying?
My wife, she's picking that gun up
And
if
bro-
she doesn't have it first.
And that's exactly what we saw in Afghanistan.
Mm-hmm.
It was a 20-year war where their fucking kids and their grandkids are like, I'm still here, motherfucker. I'm right fucking here. And the Taliban played the long game. You can say whatever the fuck you want about Taliban. They don't let children go to school and they rape people. And you're right. They are not fucking what I would consider good humans that I want to align with. But you have to respect their grit, their resolve, and their inability to give up, dude.
Mm-hmm.
And when your enemy holds those values, good fucking luck. Because this is what the American government knows as warfare. We go over here, we push our policy, we push our agenda, we stoke the flame of the military industrial complex, we make a bunch of money, then we come home. There is no coming and going home when it's here.
Mm-hmm.
It's fucking here. And that's a very different scenario than our government's used to. So,
Well, and we talk about the San Francisco people and the liberals and whatnot. Who do you think they're going to hide behind?
bro, that's the thing that's fucking mind-boggling.
Like, you talked so much shit about my toxic masculinity, but yet you're going to want it.
Yeah.
Like real bad and wish you had some.
Well, and that's what, like, I talked to you about Andy Frisella before we started. That's what he always says. He's like, you know what, dude? When you realize that you were on the wrong team, we can forgive you. You can show that there's error in your ways, error in your thought process, and you can join the right team. But the people that orchestrated it, that brainwashed everybody into all this shit and tried to manipulate everybody, there is no forgiveness. There's the gallows. And he talks about that shit all the time, bro. That's the truth.
Yeah.
You know, like, And bro, I already know, like they listen to all of our stuff and they track us and they want to be in control of everything. Like I literally saw a video yesterday of 2 FBI agents going to a guy's house for a Twitter post. And he goes, and the guy was, I'll show it to you. It was good, man. The guy goes, "Did I violate the law?" Like, "Well, we just wanted to talk to you." He goes, "I understand you want to talk to me. Obviously you want to fucking talk to me. You're on my porch. I asked you if I violated the law, because if I didn't violate the law, then it's pretty clear there's no fucking reason you should be here. But you know why you're here? Because you guys are the armed enforcement of a tyrannical government. And you know it's true. So fuck you."
Yep.
And they looked at him and they're like, they knew they didn't have a leg to stand on. And
They're just trying to intimidate him.
They
right?
got back in their truck and they drove away. Bro, there's legislation that has been proposed to ban training. Have you seen that?
I think I saw it through you.
Yes.
You mentioned it a little bit ago, and I was
to
like,
ban training. And
so
it's like,
that means like what we did last night.
technically, if you read what was proposed, jiu-jitsu falls under it.
For
right?
sure. And you
And
know
it's
they're
like-
coming after the alpha teachers.
Of
like
course
yourself.
they are, dude.
For sure.
And we also teach fucking, I got the property where we teach some fucking small unit tactics.
Yeah.
And we teach fire and maneuver. And we teach people how to fucking be proficient with a firearm, which since the inception of our country, that was something that was cherished.
Mhm.
The fucking Minutemen. Everybody holds a fucking rifle and you're a farmer or you're a fucking whatever.
Mhm.
But in the event that our community needs armed men to rise up and protect, that was why the Second Amendment was built, to allow citizens to hold the power. That's why it was built, because fucking absolute power corrupts absolutely. And you can look at any time in history, and when men have power over other men, it's only a matter of time before it becomes tyrannical.
Yeah, before they take it too far.
And guess what? Our founding fathers experienced that. They literally moved, they fucking got on a boat and went across the Atlantic Ocean to get away from that bullshit. They saw the writing on the wall. So they had the forethought to say, hey, you know what? We need to make sure that our citizens stay armed and capable, because motherfuckers will come for them eventually. And now we're at that crossroads. Like, why the fuck are they trying to take our guns away? Oh, because of school shootings.
No, it's not.
No, it's not.
No, it's not. And like, how many of those are probably them?
100%.
Like,
dude.
we can go down to some conspiracy shit. Like, because
Election cycles, school shootings always fucking start to pick up. Like, of course, man.
you can't tell me that the 2 presidential candidates are the best fucking individuals to run our country right now.
It's fucking
Like, come on.
it's preposterous.
Come
dude.
on. We need like a combination between a Jocko and a Tony Robbins. And like, let's like watch what happens. But come on. It's not real.
Bro, Andy Frisella, 2028. That's what's going to change. That's what's going to turn this world around, dude. I literally have him in my phone as POTUS. I screenshot that. I told him, I said, bro, because remember what we talked about last night, the power of manifestation.
Mhm.
And that's something that he is a proponent in, as someone that is one of the most successful entrepreneurs of our generation. When you hear him talk about the power of manifestation, suddenly you can't just fucking write it off as, oh, this is just fucking woo-woo bullshit. This dude built $1 billion company, and he's one of the most respected people in the industry. So maybe what he says is something you should take a look at, right? And every time I look at my phone to text him, I see Andy Frisella, President of the United States. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's my intention. That's my energy. And the power of prayer has been proven.
Mhm.
When enough people believe a certain thing and put energy and intention into it, it can affect the future.
Yeah.
And so like, that's my little piece to fucking see him through as president, dude.
I love that. And if you even take that down to like a personal level of manifestation, I've done it, right? Like truly have done it on a micro level, right? Where I was a craftsman for a lot of years, knew I needed to move into a supervisory role, became a superintendent, and going like, this isn't what I want to do for a long time. So it took me 2 years, but I put it out into the universe, literally went up on top of a roof in downtown Seattle and said, I will be the field innovation leader for this X company within the next 2 years. It fucking happened.
See, bro.
But it doesn't happen without you chasing the bus and then putting the work in to get there. You don't just throw it out there. That's not how it works, right? You throw it out
it's
there
like,
and then work towards
I
it.
just fucking manifest a new car and I manifest a new house. It's like,
Don't be dumb, right? But, but to the point, and then like thinking about my world's experience, right? Going there, like I was telling you last night, like I manifested that first victory and I saw it before it happened and literally walked out there with a smile on my face. I didn't care what that guy had, because I knew I was winning no matter what. Like, and going out there with that confidence, knowing something's going to happen, is really powerful. And to think, where can we take this? Right.
Well, bro, and that's, I mean, fuck, dude. Again, one thing we talked about last night, I think is a good point to bring up on the show, since we're talking about manifestation, is my brain wonders if it's one of two things. If I stand on a rooftop in Seattle and say, this is what I'm going to be, are you simply building that confidence in yourself to go out there and see it through until you fucking earn what you told yourself you're going to earn? Is it simply a motivational tool to make yourself believe, and then once you believe, you create that future, right? Or is there literally almost like a spiritual component to it where you put out beliefs and you manifest things, and it literally, the energy that you put out into the universe has the ability to affect the future? And I think it's a combination of both.
I would 100% agree. It's a combination, because the energy is important, right? And it needs to illuminate certain paths. Like, do you look at angel numbers, or like numbers in the world that just keep showing up? Right?
I've heard people talk about it. I'm not familiar though.
So my wife and I do it often, and I got this from her. She's a spiritual badass.
Now everybody's been listening for an hour and a half. They're like, that dude was fucking rad, and now we know he's a lunatic.
Yeah, a little crazy, right? But the numbers show up.
I'm kidding, because I'm a lunatic with you.
Right? I know, we're in it. So you watch what shows up. If it's a license plate number, if it's a time on your phone that keeps popping up, or whatever it is, right? A truck that goes by you, say it says it's like 999 or 247. Start to like type in angel number, blah, 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 and see what happens. So bringing this back to your point about if it's manifestation, if it's energy, if it's you working and believing in yourself, I believe it's a combination of both. And when you start seeing the signs that are happening around you, where the universe is literally working, it's telling you little signs here and there.
You, huh?
There you go. That's a better word.
Yeah.
It's guiding you. And if you're open and aware to what's happening, you can identify by the signs the universe is giving if you're on the right path. It'll literally tell you, and it could be numbers, it could be something else. Mine happens to be more numbers, right? Say, hey, you're on the right path. Believe in yourself, it's going to happen. Fuck yeah, I'm on it. Let's keep going. So I think the energy that you put out there and that intention is 100% how you get there. And then the spiritual universal world, if you're on the right path and you're doing what is right for you and your goals and your family, and I think just being a good human, it's going to happen for you.
Yeah.
I really believe that. So,
dude, I've told this story on the podcast before, and I never looked it up. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to look it up after the show. But this was probably 10 years ago, maybe 7 years ago. I saw a hawk fly over my house carrying a snake. Never saw that before in my entire life, right? The next day I saw the same thing.
Shut up.
2 days in a row, a hawk.
You have to look that up.
Carrying a snake. Never seen it before, never seen it since. What's that about? Now it could just be chance, right? But it's still like, you can't, when things like that happen, there's a part of you that's just like, what is the message from that? What am I supposed to look, and I didn't Google it, because it's like, Google will kind of tell you whatever you want, I feel like.
It can.
But fuck it, I'm going to Google it after the show.
Definitely. And so I can speak to something similar. Like when we used to live in Snohomish and we were talking about moving, right? We would take these little nature walks through the trail, and there was this group of owls, like a family of owls that would appear every once in a while. And you look up what an owl means when it shows up. It talks about inner wisdom and being able to see things behind you that others can't. And you just, again, you can take certain things out of context or make it the belief that you want, which I think is not dangerous, but you have to be aware of it.
Yes.
But and I had an eagle scenario where you're talking about, and all of a sudden I'm like, wow, what are we going to do here? And this fucking screaming eagle just comes down and literally like right in front of me. I was like, I hear you.
Yeah.
Okay. Understood.
Yeah.
Right.
Let's do this.
Yeah. It's happening.
Fucking America.
Yeah. Right. No, that's what it was. I was like, are you seeing this? Oh man.
Yeah. But it's literally like anything else in life where like it's a dichotomy, right? Because there's some people that are like, no, that water bottle just fell over because I bumped it. And that's like, and they can just assign all of this stuff to almost everything. And to me, it feels like, all right, now you're taking a little too far.
Yeah.
Right.
I think you're taking your own ability to have free will and make choices out of it. You're just saying, oh, I'm at the guide of the universe.
Yeah.
I think you're on a river and you got to paddle sometimes. Right.
Yep. Yeah. Fuck yeah. All right. Well, we're definitely not getting out of here without talking about the AI stuff.
Please.
Can you, and I know, like you already said, like, hey, I'm not going to mention my employer just because you don't want any type of conflict of interest. You can go down this rabbit hole as far as you want. It's all good.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Fuck yeah. Let's do it, dude. So I just want to open up with, you sent me this picture, right? And,
can't share the picture, but
I can't show the picture. I'll put my phone away then.
Yeah.
Sorry, YouTube people. Not going to show the picture. But it was basically you with a humanoid robot.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, that happened.
So what the fuck's going on with that?
So there's a lot going on in that space. So I work for a company that is in a position to innovate and be a part of like feedback loops. And like when different companies are trying certain things to jump into industries, they'll give us a call, me in particular. And I happened to get an invitation to this company down in Texas that is building a humanoid robot. So we got to go visit their facility. So I was pretty interested in this, as there are some people that want our industry, construction, to have humanoids in it, and these things doing tasks in which human, and they're
so they would like literally be framing houses or something?
Correct. And their intention with this is that we have a labor shortage, that's forthcoming. It's imminent, right? So then creating this fucking gang or clan or crew of humanoid robots to perform tasks that human labor had done, right? To help us with the shortage. So if you say it just like that, that sounds, that makes sense.
Yeah. Well,
right?
I want a house built by robots. That sounds nice.
Yeah. Right. Or like, because we still need to build things, right? And we're recognizing it's a shortage. I think it's a little bit of an excuse. Like, let's change the narrative, like we talked about earlier in the show, about let's get people into trades. There's a way to do that, right?
Yeah.
Versus trying to influence them to go into coding robots. It's not what I'm saying.
And clearly these people have never seen Terminator. Right?
Well,
because bro,
or they have, and they saw it differently than you and I.
Because dude, let's be honest. If you can have 15 robots frame a house, you can have you can then have those robots download fucking Army Manual 7-8, which is the infantryman's manual on how to fire and maneuver.
Yeah. So let me tell you something else that's scary. Is you can find this online too. So it's not like I'm not fucking them, right? But at the same point, like there's companies that are teaching these humanoid robots how to watch you and I perform a task or our behavior, and then it will learn it, and then be able to do it, and then continue to learn how to do that in more efficient ways than us.
So it's
I'm just going to pause there for a second for dramatic effect, right? Because that sounds awesome if all intentions are good. However, human nature is not that. So tell me how this ends.
Yeah, no, of course, dude. Our human fucking brain always wants more, always wants to conquer.
It's greedy, right?
Always wants to kill more. Like that's who humans are. And it's like, it's funny that we try and like pretend that that's, everybody's fucking freaking out. It's like, oh, a war over a border. And it's like, listen, I'm not saying that you can't have different perspectives or see why this country would want that versus that country would want this. But just remember what fucking human beings do. We fucking conquer and we take over. And like, watch that fucking show, Chimp Empire. Have you watched that? Guess what? They're doing the same thing. Hey, your territory has a better fruit producing tree than my territory.
It's mine now.
Now it's mine. Mm-hmm. And you have two options. Fight me for it or fucking accept that I took it from you.
I'll eat your face.
Yeah, exactly. Dude, that's how our brains still work too. We think we've evolved past that.
And
that's who we are.
This is part of my point, is that we have this pie in the sky thought that all things are good, when if you look at human nature and just our history of humanity, we're not.
Yes.
So the fact that we're teaching,
Or maybe not even good and bad. It's just violence and conquering and fucking pillaging
greed
and greed is part of the human psychology.
Yeah. It's like, I want
assign
what
whatever,
I don't work
assign whatever emotions you want to that. That's who we are.
Yeah.
You know?
So it's interesting because I feel like I'm in a position often to where I could steer a ship a certain way. Right. And so we were testing the Spot robot that's made by Boston Dynamics, right? To do like reality capture, because that takes an individual on our project team several, close to 40 hours a week to do that if it's a large project.
When you say reality capture, is that literally like they watch you, or they have a camera and...
Yeah. So essentially there's like a 360 camera or like a LiDAR sensor mounted on the Spot dog, and it walks around and it captures what's happening on the projects and then downloads it into the cloud or a model to say, hey, here's the progress of your project, or this is out of alignment versus our design, right? So there's some cool features to that. That same robot, dog that walks around, has a fucking gun mounted on it in Ukraine right now.
Yeah.
So you're like, you guys aren't seeing that this bridge is pretty short?
Yeah. Or it's already been spanned across and it's happening.
Yeah. The fact that we know about it means that it's well down the way, right?
Yeah.
So I feel a bit perplexed often to where it's like, do I want to just say, no, this isn't happening? Or do I want to be part of whatever's happening to influence it in a positive way, have these kind of conversations? Like, we need to be very cautious.
Well, here's the thing, bro. If you walk away because you come to the conclusion that, hey, me, Tyler Williams, this is incongruent with my morals, and I see this going down a bad path, and I don't want to be part of that, the fucking wheel keeps turning without you. No one gives a fuck.
And this is that piece
you walked away.
Yeah, about like industry leadership, to where it's like, but if I stay and learn and try to steer it in a way that's maybe more palatable for everyone, or in a more positive light, like that's what I wanted. I want to try to
have an influence over it.
Yeah, I want to try to, but
or at a minimum, dude, you'll have an understanding of it.
That's the biggest piece. I was telling my wife this. I was like,
because now that puts you in a position to be John Connor,
right?
So maybe maybe I'll be working for you, bro.
So I'd hire you in a second, right? But I had this conversation with my wife after that experience with the humanoid. I was like, hun, I'm really conflicted about this. Like, because I saw all the other shit that they were testing, and I was like, and there's gonna be literally an army that somebody has invested a ton of money in this company to produce mass amounts of these.
Well, bro, and think about what kind of a man it would have to be to have the authority over said humanoid army to only use it for good and righteous acts, right?
I think me and you are capable of that.
That's what I'm saying. I think there are people that could be good
but
people.
I don't think they're the ones in the driver's seat.
But there's also a lot of people that could be like, oh, I have 10,000 of these robots and I could do this. Well, let's see what happens.
Yeah.
And that's what's going to happen.
So,
right?
And this could change, right? Like things continue to go wrong. My opinion could change on this. But right now, what my intention is to stay connected to this, so I have a deep understanding of where it's going and when, so I can be ready, and then also like communicate, like, hey, Greg,
yeah.
Like,
hey, remember that fucking house out in the mountains we were talking about?
It's time.
Go there now.
Go there now. I'll bring my tools, and we're gonna build some shit on our own, right? So there's that piece of it where I think we have to be aware of what's going on. We have to also have conversations like, are we sure we want to do this? And unfortunately, corporate venture is going to take over and say, yeah, we're doing this, right? So now I've slowed the roll at the company I'm at to where I'm not into humanoids, right? Working on our projects yet. I am in favor of robots drilling holes for us and doing some things, not a humanoid robot, literally like a tracked machine that can go up. You have a human pushing the button. It's, got a follow me type you're literally like a remote control and it's a tool, right?
Yeah.
Like think of like how cranes used to be, right? Is we used to hand over hand up a scaffolding with a rope, right? To get material up. Now we just use a crane.
Yeah.
That's how I'm positioning things that I want to see happen. Like I'm going to give that tradesperson a tool that will help them come home to their family, be able to throw their kids up in the air, right? Wrestle with them, have some jujitsu time, like live or work to live, right? Not live to work. That's the kind of thing I want. Like my body's pretty beat up from years in the industry. And one thing I'll tell the younger generation is don't have an ego and think you need to be tough all the time and pack, 3 sheets of plywood just because some fucking douchebag that nobody told him tells you that's the way to do it. Like, cause your body will break down. So I want to use robots in a way to reduce the ergonomic strain on our workforce so that we can
have more longevity.
Yeah. Or you're not so beat up when you're retired that you can actually go and enjoy things. But so I'm at a loss of words for half the time. I was like, dude, this is wild. And I told you yesterday, like I told this company, I was like, hey, has anybody wrestled one of these yet? The humanoid. And they're like, no, those are like 2,000 pound actuators in the legs. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna take its neck. I'm not going for its legs. I offered. So if it happens, we're going to film that shit. And
but bro, like, they have some fucking, their arms are fucking driven by some fucking hydraulic system. That thing puts you in a rear naked choke. It could probably just shear your head right off your fucking body.
So dude. When the picture you were talking about, right? I'm freaking, Arnold Schwarzenegger commando.
The bro fucking high five or whatever.
The bro shake, right? And then it like pulled me in and I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, fuck you, dude.
And I looked around and I looked at these, these robotic scientists. I was like, did that do that or did you do that? And they just kind of looked at me and I was like, fuck you, dude. I will murder all of you.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, bro, and then also like they have this fucking ground force of humans and dogs, right? And now, I mean, you've seen all the drone warfare coming out of Ukraine. And bro, think about the drone technology, how much the technology has increased in the last 10 years. Give it another 10, they'll probably have drones the size of bees that can fucking carry a small charge that could fucking blow up a human being, right?
There's this drone right now. It's called a drone nut, and it's made to fly indoors. And it looks like a cube, like something you've seen on Star Wars. And no joke, it's like this big. And pretty soon, I bet you it'll have a payload.
Yeah, bro. Like it's fucking nuts, dude. Yep. And then like most recently, and I think you'd left. We were talking about, bro, what they're doing to the Hezbollah operatives, blowing their phones up. Have you seen all that happening?
No.
Bro, go look that up when we're done. They've discovered, and I don't know if it's through what type of intel sources, if it's human or SIGINT, but they're building intelligence on the Hezbollah network and then figuring out who owns what phones and pagers.
Okay.
Right? And they're blowing them up. So...
like blowing it, like sending a surge to it and like blowing it up? Or like,
yes,
what do you mean?
And they're detonating and they're killing people.
So it's like you're holding your phone and it's now a bomb that blows up?
So I have a buddy who's an 18 Charlie, which is a special forces combat engineer, right? Mm-hmm. And he was talking about it on his Instagram. And he's like, listen, as someone that is somewhat versed in this, but don't have an understanding of what is actually going on. He goes, it doesn't seem plausible that they are able to somehow confiscate these phones, put a little charge in them, and then get them back into their hands.
It means it came from the manufacturer.
The manufacturer.
Fuck.
He thinks the lithium batteries that are in our phones can be sent a signal to make them detonate, right? And bro, we've all seen like lithium batteries detonate. Did you see that guy that took his lithium battery off his e-bike and got in an elevator and it detonated? And it fucking
burned
charred him, killed him.
Yeah.
Fucking dead instantly, dude. And it's like, oh, wait a minute. What if we've been missing? Like we've been thinking,
we have.
We've been thinking for the last 10 years that the reason why this big push for cell phones has become what it is for intelligence gathering, so they can listen to us, so they can track us, all those things, right? What if they want a fucking bomb in every single person's pocket
that you're addicted to?
And when they decide they don't fucking like you anymore, boom.
I'm done.
Because that's what they're doing, right? And then somebody said something very interesting in the comments. They said, it wasn't that long ago when we could take the batteries out of our phones. Why can't we do that anymore? And I was like, So yeah, put your fucking tinfoil hats on, guys. Like, this is not a conspiracy theory right now. And I don't know if it's coming from the US government or Israel or a collaboration of everybody, right? But right now, we are somehow determining what men hold a phone in their pocket that we don't like and detonating it. That is reality. That's happening. So it's like,
You see me like looking at my phone. Going,
yeah, it's like, fuck, dude, get this thing away from me.
That's
Dude.
that's why. So my wife, right before I came in here, she was saying, "Hey, remember, question everything, and nothing is as it seems."
100%, dude. And you know what's funny is it's like, as a 21-year-old man, or I was 20 when 9/11 happened, and I turned 21 a month later.
Because you're already in, right?
Yeah, I was already in.
Yeah.
I had people that are like, listen, Greg, this doesn't make sense. World Trade Tower 7 shouldn't have fallen the way that it fell. The jet fuel doesn't burn at a rate which could melt steel beams. And like, people started talking to me right away. And bro, I was offended.
Of course.
Because
right,
20-year-old me is going to war for this country that was just attacked. And you're going to fucking sit there and tell me that we're the bad guys?
And now,
fuck you, man. And bro, I have to own that I was wrong, right? Now, I don't sit here and claim to know what happened on 9/11 like a lot of people do, because I, as a 43-year-old man, have arrived at a place where I'm comfortable saying, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened. I'm not going to pretend to know because I can't connect the dots or things don't make sense. But equally as comfortable, or I should say, I am equally as comfortable saying, because I don't know and can't connect the dots, whatever theory ultimately ends up being the truth, it won't surprise me.
Yeah.
Did our own government do that to our own people? So Dick Cheney could fucking get billion-dollar contracts for Halliburton and rebuild the Middle East? Because, bro, I was over there when Halliburton was fucking in every single base, running every single operation. And it's like, now that I see our government for who they are, like, COVID opened our fucking eyes, bro.
Wide open.
Wide open. At the bare minimum, you can't have lived through COVID if your brain works and look at our government and say, they have our best interest in mind. So now that I know,
I think there's a lot of people that do, though.
well, I said if your brain works. That was a little caveat, right? But dude, now we know beyond a shadow of a doubt that our government is self-serving. They're self-serving their power and the cabal that they've created, and their money laundering operations and all of their techniques to stifle our growth, keep us down, like. They always talk about like, oh, the middle class. Bro, you're destroying the middle class intentionally. We see everything that's happening, right? So now that we know that that's true, and I got to see that as a 40-year-old man, well, now I have to go back and revisit all the shit that I partook in, the wars that I partook in, 9/11, the stuff that was, as a kid, I was fed a narrative and I bought the narrative.
Yeah, you were influenced in a way.
Bro, even fucking vaccines. I will never get another vaccine ever.
Nope.
My children will never get another vaccine ever. And if you ever try and put a vaccine in one of my children, I'm going to blow your fucking head off. That's just where I stand on it. Like, I'm no longer playing part of your game. And now if I'm the unreasonable one in this, just go look in the mirror why people like me are unreasonable. Because you said, my kids can't go to school. My kids can't do this. We can't do that. I can't go here. I can't go there. So you built a reality that forced me to say, go fuck yourself. And now I'm all out. Whatever your fucking game is, I'm out of your game now.
And
no, the vaccine schedule is for this reason. And you need to have this and you need to have that. Well, I don't believe you now because you lied to me. So,
and still are.
If everything that you had said previously to the COVID narrative was truth, maybe I'm wrong, but now I don't trust you anymore. And once I don't trust you, I'm not willing to play your game any longer. And so it's like, it's all these little things that have led me to the point in my life where it's like, I have to do things my way now. I have to listen to my intuition, and I have to trust my own instincts. And based on everything I've seen over the last 4 years, the government is not our friend. And now that we know that, fuck, man, they've never been our friend. You know? Ever, dude.
No. Like nothing is as it seems.
Nothing is as it seems.
Mm-mm.
So your wife is a wise woman, dude.
She is a spiritual, just and literal badass in that way. Like when COVID hit, she was one of the first people that, you know, was like, this doesn't make sense. And we're not actually going down this path. Like this is not happening. And we lost a lot of friends.
Yep.
We weren't invited to a lot of family things for a little bit. And like, just it got, you know how it was. It just got wild.
It's so fucking weird that people will let a narrative come into their home through CNN that says, don't see your grandmother.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck, dude?
Mm-hmm.
Like, bro, here's another thing too that's very important for people to remember. And if they're listening to this show, they already know it, because my whole life has changed by saying fuck you to the narrative, right?
Mm-hmm.
And everybody knows what happened to me as a police officer, which is the best thing that ever could have happened to me. But regardless of that scenario, the gym scenario is actually more powerful to me, because I said fuck you to the lockdowns after 2 weeks, right? I closed for 2 weeks because, bro, I thought the bubonic plague was coming.
Yeah.
And it's like, never in my life have I seen something that they're attaching this level of importance on, right? Like schools are shut down. What are we talking about?
And in 2 weeks, that seems fair to like really understand, like, what am I seeing here? Like what's happening?
Yeah.
Like
But then what I started to see is, taking people's livelihoods away from them. Not only like, I don't say livelihoods and necessarily how they earn their money, but how they spend their time to feel good about being a human being.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people get that here at jiu-jitsu, right? And it's like, you know what, dude? This is what I'm going to do, because I'm not afraid of getting sick. If I get sick and it fucking kills me, that's called being a human being. Lots of people throughout history have fucking died of illness.
Mm-hmm.
And so I can hide in my fucking house and not pursue the things that bring me joy and bring my community joy. Or I can continue to live my life and continue to immerse myself in the community of people that brings me joy. And I always said too, like, listen, Jenny, if it gets to the point where like, dude, fuck, did you hear so-and-so died? And I lost 3 students this week. And like, okay,
that's a different talk.
I can self-regulate
Yeah.
when I look at my environment and apply reason to it. But fast forward 2, 4, 6 months, not one person I knew got fucking killed from COVID. Not one, dude. And you got people like, I lost 15 friends to COVID. No, you didn't. You lost 15 friends because they're fat, lazy, obese motherfuckers.
This is the part that I love that you just brought up.
Because it's the truth.
It's the truth. And that is, we were
And you had
fed
7 comorbidities and a cold killed you. Because you've allowed yourself to become that person,
But
I'm not going to ruin my life over it.
nobody wanted to have that conversation. In the company I work for, right? Large company, they started pushing down corporate policies. And I probably asked them 20 times in different, whether it was like this FAQ for all this bullshit. And I got a couple calls to leadership and I started asking these questions. Like, how can we do this? They didn't answer me once.
Of course not, dude.
And then weird, then they were doing the lotteries for like incentive to get people to do it. I was like, do you guys not see that this is a fucking problem?
It's a fucking psyops, dude.
I was like, this makes no sense. And I had whatever, I got really sick during COVID. That was probably the sickest I've ever felt. But I knew that once I got to the other side, I know I'm going to be better off. Right. And I knew I was healthy. I knew I could do it. I knew it sucked really bad, but yet, all right, now I have some immunity against whatever that fuck. Now I fly all over the country. Like, and I see these people in the mask and I just want to take it and like snap it on your face. And I'm like, you're fucking shit.
You're a fucking retard, dude.
Yeah.
So like, I mean, I worked at an international airport. Our jurisdiction included the airport, and we'd be in the international terminal, just exposed to a lot of people, right? Right. Literally weeks before the COVID narrative popped, I got sick as fuck, dude. And looking back, I now know it was COVID because my body reacted in a way that it had never reacted. And bro, like, I would wake up and the whole bed would be wet.
Mm-hmm.
It literally looked like you took like a pail of water and dumped it on the bed, and felt like real fevery and dizzy in the nights. But then I would wake up and like take a shower and kind of shake it off, and I could still go do my day. And it was weird because like I remember I went fucking snowboarding with Brian Sheely and Tony Carberry. And then I felt pretty good, dude, at Stevens Pass. We fucking had a fun day. Went back, and as soon as I laid down, just got sick as fuck again. And dude, that's never happened before or since. And so like, oh, well, you didn't get tested, so you don't know. Okay, you're right. Like, congratulations, you got me. But I know that that's what that was.
Mm-hmm.
It was a bizarre sickness that I'd never went through before. And it's like,
this is foreign.
Okay, yeah, I got it, and I beat it. And now I'm moving on with my fucking life, dude. I mean, bro, there's a fucking commercial that's like, if it's COVID, Paxlovid. Start taking pills is within 5 days of your symptoms. And I'm like,
what?
5 days? It's fucking over, bitch.
Yeah.
Well, okay. But it's Pfizer, and they're just doing what Pfizer does. How can we continue to make money on this fucking propaganda? And it's sickening, bro.
Do you see like, I don't watch a lot of local TV, so you like a lot of like local commercials or just whatnot, but sometimes I'll travel and I'll see this stuff and I'm like, wait, when did thyroid eye cancer become something that you need a vaccine for? First of all, when did that happen? Or not cancer, it was thyroid something disease. And you're like, I feel like the narrative of this is wrong with you and you need a vaccine for it is just blown up. So I truly believe they're trying to send it in just different forms. So they're just labeling it different.
I watched 2 shows and that's it. Alone, which I love Alone.
Yeah,
right?
That's a great one.
And then self-admittedly, the other one I watch is a little hokey, but I enjoy it, is Naked and Afraid.
Yeah.
Right? Naked and Afraid is a lot more of a production, but the guys and gals are still out there enduring pretty gnarly shit, right? Mm-hmm. And I enjoy watching the human spirit be challenged. Mm-hmm. And so those are the 2 shows I watch. During those shows, all the commercials are this vaccine, this pill, this medication, and they literally have medications that are like, if you're taking this medication and experiencing this side effect, then take this medication. So it's like, oh, fuck, dude, just keep piling them on instead of going out in your backyard in your bare feet, getting some fucking sun on your skin, maintaining a good level of hydration and going for a fucking run.
Yeah.
Because that's what's going to fucking fix you, bitch. You know? But nobody wants to do that. Why? Because that's the hard path, bro.
Yeah. They want the easy road.
They want the easy road.
Easy button all day.
And then I start to, I say it often to Jenny. I look at her when we're watching these things. I'm like, dude, people that are watching survival shows, you wouldn't think that would be the target audience for all this bullshit, but it is. So does that mean everybody's bought off on this stuff? Because, bro, these companies wouldn't be paying exorbitant amounts of money to have their fucking vaccines and their medications pushed out on commercials during these shows unless they had the data to support that it's actually working, right? It's just fucking marketing. So I'm like, fuck, man. I would think that the people watching Alone would be somewhat aligned with me. Nope.
But you got a point. Like, they don't have a choice in what commercial shows up. I think they're trying to poison the well of individuals like you. It was like, I don't know, maybe a month ago, somebody was like, oh yeah, I got COVID. And I was like, that's not real. And the guy fucking looked at me and I was like, what, too soon? I can't say that. I was like, seriously, you didn't learn the first time? And I just fucking walked away.
You got a fucking cold, bitch.
Yeah. I was like, that isn't real. You don't have that. You're sick. Be sick. Get over it. Like,
yeah, dude. Like, it makes you sweat your bed a little more than fucking normal.
Yeah, it's uncomfortable. You're going to get fatigued. But like, my dad got really sick and he was actually in the hospital for a while. And then it was interesting to me that he had survived that and then chose to go get the vaccination. And I was like, what the fuck are you doing? I was like, this makes no sense. And this is, I think, interesting. Like, you become a certain age, you know, and you have your family, and then you become, I don't know, some maybe a little bit more aware sometimes than the aging demographic.
Well, bro, it's a natural progression. Like, when you step, your dad is not the alpha of the family at 75 anymore. You fucking are.
Yeah. So like,
you're the leader of the family now.
Dad, like, what are you doing? Like, this makes no sense, and don't want to hear it. Well, I can't, influence you obviously in a way but I'm strongly cautioning you that you don't need this.
Yeah.
You just survived it. Yeah, it sucked. You're not going to get it again.
Well, bro, and then the data started coming out that you're actually more likely to get it.
I lost my shit when that happened.
It's like, well,
fucking told you.
Duh.
Because they gave it to you, dipshit.
Yeah. Remember, it was like when it first came out, and someone has made a reel that like took all of these little bits. I've seen it a couple times where it's like when the vaccine first dropped, they're like 100% effectiveness against transmitting COVID. 95% effectiveness at transmitting COVID. And then it literally started going down and down and down and down to the point where they're like, well, it actually doesn't affect transmission. Like, okay, then what does it do? Because remember what they fucking bullied everybody? It's not about you.
100%.
It's about your neighbor and your grandma. And they tried to fucking like berate everybody to make you feel like a piece of shit.
Yeah.
And now we know it's not even about that. It never was about that. And not only was it not about changing the likelihood of transmission, but it also made it more likely for you to get it.
That was the key.
So fuck you, dude.
Yeah.
And again, it goes back to what I'm saying. Like, this might be the boy who cried wolf, and then they're going to release some fucking bio fucking weapon against us. And any fucking treatments that they try and fucking promote to us, I'm going to be like, fuck you. And maybe that's what gets me. But you've lost my trust. You can't regain that trust until you regain that trust. And everything we're seeing in society is not fucking.
You're not getting any
it.
closer.
But the one thing I did want to say about how it affected the gym, we violated the lockdown order, and that's why the gym blew up. That's also why our culture is so strong, because the type of people that were attracted to it are people that are like, fuck your lockdown, right? And so, dude, when all schools are shut down, school sports are shut down, all forms of athletics are shut down, fucking kids need an outlet. And so like, they're like, oh, this thing is open, jiu-jitsu. I don't know I can't tell you how many people are like, I don't even know what jiu-jitsu is, but we want to try something.
Yeah.
You know?
Something needs to change.
And you can't try jiu-jitsu and not feel that its validity almost instantly.
Yeah.
So like, regardless if you love it or not, you know that it's real. So real motherfuckers were motivated to continue to pursue it. And now that's why we're at the size that we're at now.
Yeah.
It's fucking radical.
Well,
what a blessing in disguise, dude.
And it's wild. You wouldn't have known that, right?
Yeah.
And you maybe even would have made different decisions if you would have known that. So it's like, nothing is as it seems. Trust the process in the universe, that if you're doing things that are right for the right reasons, it's going to work out.
It's going to work out. It has to, right? And it's going to work out until it doesn't. And then we
figure it out.
Yeah. Or that's the end of my story. And guess what? Welcome to being a human being. I've made it to 44. I know lots of guys that didn't make it to 30. So like, you can't intimidate me with this fear mongering, because I understand that life is finite. We have a fucking start, we have our life, and then we have our end. And I'm just going to keep being me until the end. And whenever that comes, it comes, dude. So fucking what? You want to fucking live like a coward for fucking to try and make it to 80?
You do you.
I don't give a fuck about making it to 80 if I have to act like a coward. Not interested in that path. So maybe I make it to 45 living my way. Or maybe I make it to 80 living my way. That's not the determining factor on how I'm going to live my life, you know? Fuck yeah, this is a good episode, bro. I think listeners were fucking, they've been starved for me getting fired up, dude, right?
I'm glad I can
it's
provide
like, dude, it's good because on one hand, I never want to be, as my buddy Dave says, like one of those pundits that just stirs the pot and is always like, you tune into Greg's show, you know, like it's like a Dan Bongino, right? Where it's like every time you tune into Dan Bongino, it's him stirring the pot to get you emotionally charged. And I'm not saying he's putting out a bad message. I agree with what he says, but I can't do that day in and day out. There's so much good out there that we need to lean into and try and help people fucking up and help them get healthy and fit and strong and defiant. And that's not always rooted in being fucking fired up at the government. That's just the truth, right? But we do have to lean into this sometimes and revisit it because we are up against a force of evil.
It's going to come back around. It's going to just look different.
That's what I'm saying.
100%.
And that's what happens, dude. Like my buddy Eben was just on the podcast. And one thing that he said, he's like, man, our life moves in a circle. And he's like, all the problems and hardships and adversity that we face, you go through a phase where you face that, but just know the phase is going to reappear where you face all those things again. That's the circle of life.
Especially if you didn't attack that lesson in the right way.
Yes,
that's
dude.
the key. Did you learn something from that lesson? If not, it's going to come back and it could be harder, right? It could be deeper, but
like we know that we're going to face these things again. We know that.
For sure. And this time I'm a little more excited about it.
I am too, because our eyes are more open.
And curious at the same time. Like, what's it
I'll
gonna
be more defiant right out of the gates.
Yeah.
And that's exciting.
Try to hold it, right? Yeah.
And bro, like when did it become fucking like a negative thing to be a wild, defiant motherfucker? Everybody loves fucking Braveheart. Everybody loved watching William Wallace say, fuck you to the English crowd.
And how many people wanted
it? It feels good, right? But it only feels good to watch it on a screen. Like if the opportunity in your life presents itself where you feel in your heart, you need to say, fuck you, then say it and stand up, dude. Like the Killdozer guy. Mm-hmm. Like, remember him, dude? Like, dude, that is the kind of stuff that if people did that kind of stuff more often, we probably wouldn't get pushed around all the time by the government. But for whatever reason is everybody always just takes a back seat and does what they're told. But I think we're reaching a point where enough men that hold our strengths and our values have been pushed far enough that the next time might be the time when we fucking push back, dude.
Look around and find out.
Look around and find out. It's happening, dude.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're at fucking 2:11. We're going to wrap it up. Give you the final words, anything you want to put out, but also like if you're open to people connecting with you, can I put your Instagram in the show notes?
For sure. Please.
Okay, cool, man.
Please. Especially if it has to do with construction industry or you're just hearing something I might know somebody that knows somebody. Like we touched on Christian earlier, right? I saw his little construction shirt and I was like, hey, what are you doing with that company? And I was like, you want a real shot? And I just took a risk because I was like, he's in here. He's probably good people.
Yeah.
And I'm happy to help out good people and connect dots. I love like developing connections. So happy to do that.
And guys listening, because we do get a lot of young men that are kind of growing into full manhood that listen to the show. It's like, if you are that 17, 18, 19-year-old, yeah, we just vented about the government for the last 45 minutes, but don't let it be lost on you what Tyler talked about at the beginning of the show, and take advantage of that. If you have a guy that has some wisdom and knowledge in something that could potentially help you up and give you a step in the right direction, bro, it's the real world now. You can write a dude on Instagram and say, hey man, I live in Phoenix. Like, who do you know down here? Oh, I happen to have blah, blah, blah. And just like that, by putting yourself out there and asking a question, it can change the trajectory of your fucking life, dude.
100%. And that's something I really, really enjoy doing, is just helping other people. And I'm going to do it for the right reasons because it's the right.
Yep.
I've also been helping out this company called Purpose Built. They're called Home of the Trades. They got a few brick and mortar stores. They're really trying to help with the message of like making construction cool. Like these guys are studs and super fired up about them.
Purpose Built. Send me their website,
right,
and I'll put that in the show notes too, so people can just click. And the more convenient you make it, the more traffic you can.
And I even think they said they were going to offer a code to listeners, so I'll try to get that, send it over to you. And
okay, cool.
But they're donating stuff for trade schools and like, you know, trying to get tools. And they, when I talk about construction being cool, like I used to hate what you had to wear, right? The high vis vests are just super stupid. And shirts that are all gay and
dorky shit.
Yeah, and they're really starting to lean into some brands that you and I would wear, and you know, be proud of what you're doing outside, like that dirty hands, clean money type stuff. Like that's all them. And like I'm a huge advocate for that kind of shit. Like be proud of blue collar because it matters.
Yeah,
like it matters. And I think live your intentions, right?
Fuck yeah.
Put it out there. Chase the bus. I don't know, and do jujitsu.
And
right?
do
jujitsu.
If you
If
can
didn't
do
catch
all
that.
the shit, you can do all the other shit right. But if you're not doing jiu-jitsu,
Start over.
you're gonna lose.
It's never too late. How about that? Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you this, bro. This is a fun episode. I always enjoy having people in here, regardless of whatever their path is. But then some people you just vibe with, and we fucking vibe.
Well-
The energy's real, and I had fun. So anytime you're in town, dude, like
Oh.
I have a handful of guests that are reoccurring guests for this very reason. You're fun to sit down and fucking bullshit with.
I'd love to chop it up. I want another shot at the belt too in here.
All right, dude. I'm
yeah,
fucking.
I'm coming in.
I'm gonna sharpen my fucking blade, dude.
Me-
I'll tell you right now. My go-to are my arm bars, and the way in which you kept pulling that shoulder down, and then you regarded, bro. People don't regard on me, and I was like, what the fuck, dude? Guy, I gotta pass this guard again. What the fuck? And so I'll tell you, when people regard on me, that lets me know that they have the ability being underneath me to really fucking create angles that are difficult to
Just a
submit.
little bit of space.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so when I find people that give me problems with those angles, the bread cutter is my go-to,
Mhm.
because the bread cutter allows me to just stay heavy as fuck and not give up a millimeter of space and choose to attack the neck instead of attacking the shoulder.
Mhm.
Because when you have to isolate a shoulder for an arm bar, for it to really work, it has to elevate just a little bit. And then that was all the space you needed.
Mhm.
So I know how good your game is, bro. Like, I'm not going to fucking sleep on you. Trust me, dude.
Well, and I promise I will practice. You got me on that butterfly sweep twice, and I was like, oh, I did it again.
That's my
Damn it.
shit, bro.
It was.
If you can
it
figure out
was
how to
clean.
stop my butterfly sweep,
I will.
My fucking team will probably pay you thousands of dollars, because that's all I do, bro.
That another thing I was going to ask is, so a couple of the guys that I train with that helped me, right? That Aaron Teagues and Reed Wallace. Reed's a leg lock specialist, and they're open to traveling, coming up, doing seminars for you. I think you dig just who they are too. Reed's a fucking wild man. I love
Let's
it.
go, bro. I love
it.
the jiu-jitsu community.
Yeah. And
I would love to have people up that could show a different flavor. I'm not a leg lock guy. Like, luckily, I got my black belt under Joao Assis, who is a leg lock guy. So I have a pretty good foundation in defending
Yeah.
and attacking. But you know how it is. You can have a base of knowledge, but if you don't regularly employ it during sparring, you never hone that blade.
yeah, it doesn't become your offense,
Exactly.
right?
So my offensive game is not leg locks, it's fucking arm bars. But those guys are fucking dangerous. And we can call them the dark arts and joke around that like leg locks and wrist locks are cheating and like
It's real.
try and make people feel bad about it. But if you break my ankle, that's real.
Yeah.
And I can't argue with that. And that's why I'm a proponent of all that. I tell my guys, like, fucking leg lock each other, heel hook each other in a gi.
Mhm.
Now that's blasphemy for a lot of people.
Yeah.
But it's like, bro, if you can grab a hold of a part of my body and make me quit, I shouldn't be like, well, don't do that because it's bad sportsmanship or whatever the fuck you want to call it, right? Like, don't get me wrong. You're not going to see me doing super guard to people. You ever done super guard?
Now I know what that is.
I'm not going to say it on the air because it is a fucking dirty, dark art. But if you tap me with it, you tap me with it,
Yeah,
right?
it's real.
And so, all right, well, we could go down another hour of jiu-jitsu.
Sounds like
we'll
it.
save it for
We'll
next
save
time,
it.
bro.
I like it.